What is up? What is up? What the hell did we just witness? That's what I want to know. Is I okay, okay. Let me I'm trying to calm myself down. I've been trying to calm myself down for quite some time. I'm still processing this and I've watched it twice now. I watched it twice. I've got to just kind of like really dive deep and try to understand what am I feeling with this movie. It just it's just such a mixed bag, but it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. I don't know how y'all feel, but we're gonna have some guests tonight as well. So waiting for them to show up. Gonna wait for some more people to trinkle into the chat, trickle, whatever. Um, See, we already got a few people here already. Got Larry Warner in the house. It was so bad, I can't believe they did Michael like that. Oh, we're gonna get into it, brother. Kirsten Marie, I need this therapy session, guys. I do too. I do too. I really do. That's why, and I need a lot of different people's opinions and their thoughts, and we got to just lay it all out on the line. Okay, this is a huge spoiler discussion tonight. Okay, if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiling anything, you probably don't want to be in this chat tonight. Come back and watch it after you've done seen the film. But I think that with them releasing it early on Thursday and everyone's had a chance to be able to have access to this movie, I think it's okay. I think it's all right to go ahead and have this spoiler discussion tonight. I was going to wait till, either tomorrow night or maybe Sunday or Monday, but tonight I think is okay. I mean, cuz you can watch it, at on Peacock right now if you wanted to. But this is really going to be some it is going to be a therapy session. um so yeah, let's just wait. Let's get some more people up in here and so we can have like a good turnout cuz get you some snacks, get you some drinks, get you some popcorn because we're talking all spoilers tonight. I'm not laying anything on the line. I watched this like 30 minutes before we went live right now. So I'm kind of fresh on it as well. I just had to I had to take another gander. That's so damn country. But you know what I'm saying? Like I had to watch it one more time just to understand how I'm feeling. And I have a better understanding. I have a lot more better understanding. So, and I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else was thinking too. So yeah. Yeah, Kirsten, this is going to be a great therapy session tonight because that movie, it's so ballsy what they did. I just I'm I'm still lost. Like I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they had the audacity to do this. Um Larry Warner says it should have just ended with 2018. I was thinking that too because it like just leaving it with 2018 and just leaving Michael in in the bottom of the house locked up and burning. That I mean it ev these 3 movies just has a totally different tone. Every single one of these movies. This movie just feels such a departure. It does not even feel like, even though they acknowledge some of the events that happened in the previous 2 movies, it just does not feel like it's a part of this trilogy. This feels like it's just so much of an afterthought. And not that it's a bad made movie. It's a well-made movie, but it's not what we were expecting. I was kind of expecting it, but it still surprised me. But it's not satisfying, and it's not needed in our Michael Myers movie. It's not needed for the conclusion of Laurie Strode's story. It's not. There's just so much we're gonna dive into tonight. Uh, I second what Larry said. That sounded scary. Hey guys, what's up? That sounded scary. What is going on, brother? Uh, let's see here. I wish they said some light on the mask that was in the wall in the sewers. They passed that the fuck up. Yeah, yeah, they did. They really did. Like that's one thing that I was confused too. I was like, okay, are we not going to acknowledge that right there? Like okay, that's obviously something. We did catch something in the trailers, but in the movie, they show it, but they don't explain anything. What is Michael just shoving his victims in the walls or in the cement? Like, does he have a cement truck down there that's like just pouring them into the? I don't know. There's so many questions with this movie, and it kind of pissed me off in areas. It was like okay, that's well executed. Okay, the very next scene just pissed me off. Like it was just so all over the place. Um, hey, what's up, Corbin? What's up, man? Watching in from Facebook. Join over on the YouTube chat if you want to be a part of more of the conversation. Because we're going live on several different platforms, and you won't see what everybody else is saying unless I highlight it. So yeah. But what is up? Glad you're here, dude. Let's see here. We need this discussion to happen. There's so much to say. Yes, it is. And I got two guests coming on tonight too. And we're going to do a deep, deep dive. Actually, I'm probably going to shoot them a text here in just a second and just see where they're at. They had a little bit to do, so they're just going to be a little bit late, So y'all just hang out with me for a little bit until we can really, really dissect this. Um, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys think about this movie, though, especially the ending and certain scenes, certain things just really, really just burn me to the core. Like I'm just like, oh, why? What the what? Like I almost want to. I don't know. Like it's so conflicting. But we got somebody knocking at the door right now. And you guys know him. He's been a guest on the channel before, and he's very well known. And he has a great YouTube channel as well, especially for Michael Myers and Halloween content. So yeah, you know him as I shot him 6 times, but I know him as my buddy Marcus. What is up, Marcus?
What's up, Destin? What's going on, everybody in chat? What's going on, buddy? How's your night doing? How's your night going?
It's going okay, man. It's going okay. I was just catching up with the chat.
Nice.
And just I seen the movie twice. Have you seen it twice? You watched it once.
I just got back from the theater from watching it again. And
Okay.
I will say this. There's only, before we really get into it, what struck me out about the theater version and Peacock version was the scene where Corey gets dragged into the sewer. In the Peacock version, you actually, if you look on the side, you see Michael walking towards him past the homeless man. In the theater version, you don't see it. Like it's such wide and it's so dark in that on that spot. You don't see Michael walking up to him and then drag him. You just see him drag him into the sewer.
I have not noticed that. Now I got to
Yeah.
watch it 3 times.
Yeah, man.
Maybe I was up getting some popcorn or something. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. But I definitely didn't catch it. I watched it on the IMAX for the first time Thursday night.
Nice.
I went to an 8:45 showing, and I enjoyed what I was seeing, but there's just certain scenes and certain decision makings and story things that just like it makes you throw your hands up. Like, why? Like, what is going on here? Like, Michael Myers was not scary in this movie whatsoever. There was no suspense to Michael Myers in this movie. And actually, there's one scene in particular that pisses me off, and it's the part where Corey goes into the cellar and gets the mask. That pisses me off to my core, man. I'm like, what am I watching right now? This is not right. This would not happen.
No.
Like, it's crazy, man.
It's
crazy.
I'll be honest, this whole movie, like, okay, I said it earlier on my live stream, and I was going off or whatever. I went there. I went there worse than I did with Nev not being in Scream. This is how bad this movie is for me. Like, I feel like I appreciate the fact they tried to get different within a Halloween movie, within a Michael Myers Halloween movie. But where they failed at was it wasn't a Michael Myers movie.
No, not at all.
They failed so miserably. And I feel like they were conflicted whether they should have Michael Myers be strong or whether he should be weak like they told us leading into the movie. And the reason why I say that is because that scene you just brought up there, Corey being able to go easily manhandle Michael and take his mask from him, like he bitched him. That's just the truth. He bitched Michael. But why I have such a big issue with that is because, one, I mean, I understand Michael's supposed to be weak or whatnot, supposedly, right? But in that, and that's why that Peacock scene where you see Michael walking up to him is really, really clutch. Because one, you see Michael walking normal. You don't see him walking like with his arm to the side like he's hurting. And then two, he drug a 200-pound carcass down to the sewers like it was nothing. You know, and then, okay, so then the scene, obviously, when Mulaney goes after, Corey, and Corey's like, show me. And Mulaney knocks Michael down, and it's like he can't even get up. He's so weak.
I know that. Oh my! I wanted to just like throw my popcorn across the audience,
Bro.
Like I was so mad.
Bro, I seen that, and then this is what makes me so mad about that. Is okay. So then Michael does get up. He limps his ass over there, and he stabs the shit out of Mulaney. And then you see him like hulk up, like
convulsions. Like he's like the mummy, dude. He's like regenerating his strength.
The transcending. The more he kills, the more he transcends. So at that point, I'm like, okay, let's fucking go. He's back. He's revitalized. And then you have him kill the redhead. So now that's two bodies he just caught between Mulaney and the redhead. And he looked at full strength. The way he charged at the redhead, dead meat lover. The way he charged at her and lifted her up, that's Michael at full strength. And then you have Corey go to the fucking sewer and take his mask and slam him down and bitch him. That shouldn't even been a struggle for Michael.
Right.
So he struggled.
Right. It would have made. Like, go ahead. We're both like ramped up, like we're
right, like
worked up over here.
And like I was kind of arguing with my sister about it in the car because she's like, because I made this argument. I'm like, okay, so because she's like, oh well, the power that that Michael has went into Corey. I said, okay, if that's the case, Corey shouldn't have needed Michael to kill Mulaney. He should have been able to overpower Mulaney and kill him himself.
Right.
So like,
very true.
They destroyed this.
I know, man. They did not hit the landing, and wouldn't it make more sense? And it would be more believable to me and easier for me to accept if Michael would have handed over the mask. Had a scene to where he just like maybe Corey's like going on this rant, like I need to feel it. I need to feel what you feel or whatever. Write something. And he hands over the knife and the mask or something, Right. I could accept that more than what they showed us.
Exactly. Especially being that he was weak. Like that moment in instance, like what they shouldn't have done was had Michael drag Corey down to the sewers. Because then at that point in time, that tells me he's strong enough to still drag a 200-pound plus body.
Right.
He has enough strength. He ain't that hurt if he's still dragging bodies around. You know what I mean? What they should have did was maybe Michael, was killing that homeless man in the sewers, or the homeless man went into the sewer, saw Michael and screamed. And being that Corey obviously got thrown over, he's just starting to come to, after being thrown over the bridge. He hears this old man screaming. He goes into the sewers to see what's going on. Sees Michael, but instead of obviously Michael chokes him up in the power transfers. At that point in time, maybe that's when Michael takes off the mask, being that he's too weak to really do anything, and he just hands it over like you said.
Yeah.
That would have made a little bit more sense to me, because I'm like, oh, that would have been like, okay, Michael's weak. He can't perform the job, so now he's passing the torch. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not what they did. And they just, this, I'll put it this way, man. If this was a Christine remake, awesome. Like, Rohan Campbell playing Arnie Cunningham would have been spectacular. Because I
Yeah.
thought he did a good job in his role as Corey Cunningham. I
Right.
thought the characters wasn't bad. The thing I didn't like, Hawkins didn't get his flowers. He barely was in the movie.
He
And
should have had more shine, man.
thank you. They built this up through Halloween Kills, especially with Hawkins. And
Right.
to not even have him much in the movie, it really, really irritated me because I'm like, okay, so what the hell was the point in having his story being told in Halloween Kills?
Right. Exactly. Like you build up his whole character. This is actually a character that was made up from 2018 and
Mhm.
we had to accept and we did. We got on board with him. But then we don't even know about this Cameron character until your ending, to the conclusion. It would have made more sense with Corey if that was Cameron's character.
Yes.
Even
Yeah,
though Cameron had the best death scene in Halloween Kills
he
by
did.
far. I
Absolutely.
love that death scene. You could have traded his character out with his dad or somebody, you know.
Right.
Um, I love that death scene. But if this was Cameron and not Corey, I could I could maybe honestly, I take that back. I could accept the Corey character more or that character more. I can't accept anything that they did with Michael in this movie. I cannot
Right.
accept it. I just it just felt like an afterthought. It felt
Mhm.
like this was a movie and they were just like, "Oh, well, oh yeah, we just got to get that fight scene out the way and then we're just going to have the town, heal."
Right.
And I just the way it was it was just not well. It was well directed, but this story was not well executed. It needed to be rewritten. That's all it needed to do.
Right.
I just because okay, when the movie starts off, and we got I don't know if you know Eric from the Bearded
Yeah.
Entertainment, but he's going
Yeah.
to be on
Absolutely.
also. Yeah, yeah, he's
Nice.
going to be on, and apparently he's a big fan. So I'm really curious to see his thoughts on this movie. So he'll be in here pretty
Nice.
shortly. Um, but when the movie starts off,
Mhm.
it already like made me confused because the tone, the music choice that they started the movie off with,
Right.
then the font choice, the opening scene I accepted. I was like, okay, I was already expecting something like this. It was pretty wild. It was well
Yes.
executed. I was like, that's really messed up. Okay, I got on board. I was on board at first. And
Right.
then once we got into that font style. I didn't even know that was Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that was the font from that movie. Craven had to tell me, and I was like, "Oh, so yeah." So that I mean, I know it says that this movie's going to be different. Okay, well, be different. It doesn't have to be a part of this trilogy. Be its
Right.
own thing. Like it's not the time to be different. This should
Right.
have been the middle movie or something like that if we want to be something different. This movie just focused on the wrong areas.
Excuse
It just I hope
me.
James Drew Courtney still got a good paycheck,
I know. I
They were
know.
like, he was in Kills too much. He's gonna barely be in ends. It's like, what the I don't
Right.
know. I
And to
don't know,
touch
man.
on something that sounds scary said in the chat, he mentioned something about Michael being weak because he's been living in the sewers for 4 years, and that obviously living in the sewers would make him septic, and obviously he would break down in there. This is the argument I make to that. We've seen this guy be stabbed, shot, maimed, damn near murdered. You know what I mean? We've seen him burn, and like nothing seems
He
to
was hit
stop.
with that fucking iron.
Yeah, like nothing seems to stop him. And on top of that, now I don't know if anybody caught this while watching the movie. in my opinion at least, I think those people that were missing over the last, few years, if you listen to what the homeless man was saying to Corey, I think Michael killed those people and was taking them down to the sewers, because the old man says it. He said, I've seen him take people down in them sewers. Why did he let you go? And stuff. So that tells me that Michael took people down in the sewers to kill them, or he already killed them and just took them down to the sewers.
Yeah.
So that leads me back to the point. The more he kills, the more he transcends. So if that is true, that those missing people were killed by Michael Myers, then how the hell is he weak?
Right. Dude.
Like,
exactly. He should have already transcended.
Thank you.
He should already be.
It's so fucking mind-boggling the direction they decided to go. Just not even with Corey Cunningham. We expected that, but with Michael, like, this is what you came up with.
Right.
For the big finale.
It would have been better if we didn't see Michael. I don't want to see him vulnerable. I don't want to see him weak or crippled or even getting, taken down by Corey and his mask being stolen. Like, I was really surprised they let that stay in the film. I was like, wow, what? Yeah, like, you're going to piss everybody off. Let me acknowledge something real quick in the chat. But we got a new member in the house. That sounded scary. Just became an official stationeer. Thank you. That sounded scary. Awesome. Welcome to the fam. Always welcome. It's a great place, great community, and me and That Sounded Scary, we have been talking a lot behind the scenes about this movie and just about other stuff and the horror competition that we've both been in and everything. So yeah, thank you, man. Like that means a lot. So everyone, give him a warm welcome, and that he's an official stationeer now. So yeah, welcome to the party, pal. But yeah, dude, I want to talk about, like, we're gonna talk about this movie from beginning to end. Okay,
Right.
Let's start. All right, we got about 13 people watching right now, 11 people on YouTube. I'm kind of streaming in a few different spots right now.
Nice.
So yeah, the opening scene, man. Let's just start where it's at, man. What do you think about the opening scene?
That's actually one of the bright spots of the movie, was the opening scene for me. The way it was executed, the way they went into it, I did not expect it to go down like that, and that's why I guess why I liked it, because it was unexpected and it was a little something different, and stuff. It was a good way to start off, the story of the Corey Cunningham character.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I was really surprised they did not incorporate Michael in the scene whatsoever. Even if he is there and he didn't even cause the accident. But it was crazy when that kid hit when that kid hit the floor. I was like, whoa, I felt it.
I did too.
I felt it even on the second watch, and then it almost had like the opening of Scream, where Casey Becker's parents are coming home, and they witness their kid. But I mean, it's a lot more traumatizing, I guess you would say, when the kid is so young,
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, that's awful. That's like the worst parent's nightmare. That's like a parent's worst nightmare. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I actually liked it. I liked it. But then we get this whole, like, the credit scenes comes on. I actually liked what they did with the pumpkins.
Yes, me too.
I thought that was pretty creative. I was wondering what they were going to do with it this time. I thought maybe they were going to make it like decompose or something, like, since this is the ending, but they didn't do that. But it was still cool. I would like to see how they actually make that. It's kind of neat. But then we get like, the whole voiceover with Jamie Lee Curtis and talking about everything that has happened. It just feels so. I feel like out of all three of the movies, Jamie Lee Curtis had the most creative control over this one. Do you feel
Mhm.
that?
Yep.
Just the way everything is delivered. I'm like, hold on.
Yep.
This sounds like some Jamie Lee Curtis shit.
Yep.
This sounds like something that she said, no, my character is going to say and do this, and this is
Yep.
how this is going to be told. And this was a great version of Laurie Strode. I thought it was great. I
What?
thought she did a great job. There's a lot of good dramatic moments in the movie. But it was just so damn heavy-handed, especially like one thing that I could not buy was the moment that we know that Corey begins to start getting a little evil, and that
Mhm.
moment that Lori looks out the window and thinks she sees him or he is by that bush, the
Mhm.
callback, and
Yeah.
then she sees him. I'm like, hold on. It's like she's already like on guard about this kid. And I'm like, he hasn't really given you anything to be on guard about yet. Like it just felt out of place. It didn't make sense to me. Like it was like just
Well,
believe.
she did say to Allison, and I think especially from what she's been through, and not only that, we know that looking into Michael's eyes, even from a distance, it's some type of power. You know what I mean? You feel that evil essence, that presence around. And I think once she saw, like, you could see it too in that scene where Corey's talking to her, but it kind of slows down, and you see her hair starting to like kind of like it's like flowing, and the wind starting to pick up and all that stuff. Kind of like how when at the beginning of 18, when the podcasters went to go see Michael and they showcased the mask, and everybody starts going crazy. The dark, you know what I mean, out of Lori in terms of how she was able to, because she even said it to Allison. She said, I see in his eyes, I see Michael. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So, I mean, did they
Speaking,
probably, huh?
I was going to say, speaking of eyes, we saw Michael Myers' eyes more. That bothered me. That bothered me in this movie. That I was like, why are we seeing his eyes so much? Like, is that like an artsy way of saying that he's weak? Like, is that why we're seeing like through the mask, like his eyes and stuff like that? Because in the other ones, it was like just dark. We didn't
Yeah,
really ever see his eyes. This one, in certain shades and stuff like that, you see his eyes. I didn't
right.
like that either.
Could that be possibly because maybe when he passed some of the evil on to Corey, that it's phasing out of Michael, maybe?
Okay,
I,
possibly. I don't
man,
know, man. There's
they,
so
they,
there's still questions.
there's so
Uh,
many questions.
because I mean, here's the thing: is like, oh man, and I'm probably going to ask this question later whenever Bearded gets here. Um, but is it? Do you think he's supernatural or not?
Who, Michael?
Yeah.
Well, I said this earlier in my live stream. I said, especially from going forward, after what they did to him in this movie, I don't know how you can expect the audience to believe anymore that he is supernatural. And from having Corey manhandle him to him being physically weak, even though everything they did was ass backwards compared to what they said in Halloween Kills. You know what I mean? The more he kills, the more he transcends. Okay, so this son of a bitch is out here killing, even if it's one or two kills, that means he's supposed to be back at his transcendent self. And they didn't do that in this movie. They really driven home the fact that, just like she said at the end, I thought you were the boogeyman, but you're not. You're just a man. Well, for
Right.
all that, he should have died back in 2018 in the fire. Or when
Exactly.
Loomis shot him 6 times back in 78.
Right.
Like, it just
Or
makes no sense. They
or
destroyed the mythology of the character, in my opinion.
yeah, or whenever the mob is stomping him in the ground and
Right.
then he gets back up and then gets back in there and kills Karen at the end of Kills.
Everybody.
Yeah. Can we I thought like I really needed to see a scene like how did he get there?
Right.
And even if you don't answer that question, even if you don't even show me how he got into his house. By the way, where the fuck was his house in this movie? And
Well, if you read the newspaper clipping, they demolished it.
oh,
If you
where
got you got
which scene was that?
it's when Lori's writing on her memoir and they're showing like the clippings on the wall and all that stuff
Mm,
like that. And you can see it real quickly. It says Michael Myers' house demolished.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. All
That
right. I
was
had to.
apparently supposed to be in the movie, but I guess it got cut.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of stuff got cut. Honestly,
Oh, it did.
like yeah. I mean, it just there's a lot of stuff. I'm like, why did? And one thing I do know that that got cut was him killing his mom, Corey killing his own mom,
Right.
because those are the pics and that's what we saw in the trailer with
With the
the
pillowcase.
feathers, the
Yep.
pillow and the feathers flying. We didn't see him. It just cut away. And I
Mhm.
thought that was nuts. I was like, man, this would have been like, yeah, it's pretty dark. You're killing your own mom, but like show it on screen. Hopefully we get an extended cut or something like that. So
Right.
maybe
Another
we'll get
thing
it.
is, in all honesty, the trailers literally showed everything that was in the movie. The
Hmm.
only thing that you can say is that they edited a lot of the scenes. And the reason why I say that too is because I was on this hunch that there could be two copycat Michaels only because how the trailer looked in certain instances, like with the kitchen fight scene. The Michael
Hmm.
Myers we saw, his hands were entirely too clean. And I said, if that's Corey Cunningham, his hands are going to be bloodied up and all that stuff from killing all night. His hands ain't
Right.
going to be super clean like that. So a lot of the scenes that we did get in the movie wasn't a trailer; they were just re-edited.
Right. Right. Yeah, and they were like flipped images too.
Yep.
Like whenever Michael grabbed him in the sewer, like it was from a
Yep.
different angle. Uh
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just nuts, man. Um there's so many things that like I was actually starting I didn't think I was going to buy into it, but I started to buy into this Corey character. I started feeling for him a little bit. I was
Mhm.
like, okay, kid's doing a good job, portraying the character. But
Right.
it's the moment that we get introduced with Michael that the movie starts falling apart. It's like the movie almost forgot what movie it was,
Right.
and once you start trying to make it make sense, I mean, it just nothing felt organic about it. It almost felt like a fan film in a
Right.
way. It felt like a fan film in a way. This would have been a great, a Halloween story, called something else,
Right.
like a Season of the Witch or something. Like I would have accepted it that way, just like Michael Myers is in this universe and
Or
this is what's
or
happening.
Corey as an homage to Christine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, they how I take this movie, man, what they did. Once I watched it, I was just like, okay, I see what you guys did here. They went the Halloween 3 route.
Yeah.
The only thing is that Michael Myers was actually in this movie, but he wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the blue font, I sat there and I kind of perked up and I'm just like, okay, that Season of the Witch's lettering. What is the one thing about Season of the Witch that's, stands out from the Halloween movies, from the originals? Is that
Right.
one, there's no Michael Myers, and two, it's completely different than what we saw in the first two. So as soon as I saw that lettering, I'm like, this ain't no homage. We about to be in for some shit. And the shit that they gave us, it was like a big bag of shit flaming on a porch. It's just like, and it stinks, and it stinks really, really bad. Like,
Yeah.
I just can't. because I love this franchise. This is my franchise. For crying out loud, I got the man around my neck. You know what I mean?
Let me
Like,
see that again. I didn't see it good.
yeah. Oh, hold on, let me flip that bad boy over. See, that's how you know this movie's bad when the necklace is even flipped over.
Oh,
But yeah,
nice, dude. Okay, I
hell,
see
you
it.
got the knife dangling from it and all
That
that
looks
stuff.
like Jason. I'm just messing.
But yeah, man, like they just, I get, like I said, I respect the fact they try to get different.
Yeah, I do too.
I just don't feel like the movies that they incorporated as influences. I did a video about this the other day about My Bodyguard, Christine, and Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. I don't think that these three movies were the right choices in terms of influences. You know what I mean? Because when you break down this movie, if you have watched Christine, it's nothing new we haven't seen before. They literally ripped off a lot of what Christine did.
Oh yeah,
A lot. And
absolutely.
it wasn't even like they tried to get creative with it. The mom was just like the mom in Christine, Corey's mom.
Yeah,
Like it's just like they put it together. It's like they went to John Carpenter and said, "Hey, John, we want to do something really, really nice for you. We want to kind of submerge two of your greatest movies together with Halloween and Christine. How do you feel about it?"
mm-hmm.
And John's just like,
I don't
"Whatever. We're
give a
gonna
shit.
make money anyway."
Yeah.
Like it's just like, man,
Now the
like
score was on point.
very, very. That's
I
John Carpenter.
yeah,
I expected nothing less from the score. I expected that score to be fire, and it really was.
yeah, yeah. It was great. It was great. I wish that that the homeless guy that knew about Michael Myers. I wish maybe it was cut from the movie or something. I was like, it'd be really cool if he was like, because he's a homeless guy, nobody really listens to him, but maybe he like has a conversation like, hey, Michael's in the sewers, like he's
Right.
that type of character, like from Friday the 13th,
Yeah,
like
I
you
was
don't need to
just
go
about to
over.
say that. Yep.
Yeah,
I was just about to say
something
that.
like that, but we didn't get
Yep.
anything like that. His interaction with anybody else besides Corey, and I was like, man, they really could have used him as like, like a guy that doesn't know what he's talking about, but he does.
Right.
Um, I just, and then Michael pulling people down into the sewer. I was like, what the hell is he? The Pennywise of Haddonfield? What the hell is going on here?
Right.
I
Right.
mean, and then I expected to at least see a dog or two. Like, there's no dogs down there. Like
Right.
I
So,
just, oh
and
man,
another
it.
thing they
I
didn't
felt
do,
sorry for Michael Myers.
you know, another thing that didn't make sense was that they made it seem like basically because of everything going on in the world, you know what I mean, that Halloween was going to be canceled or whatever, this and this and that. When in all honesty, that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. Why didn't Michael Myers come back to kill for Halloween 2019?
Yeah,
Why didn't he kill in 2020? Especially if he is still killing people but taking them down to the sewers. That tells me right there he's not trying to, like, there's no external reason that will stop him from killing. No pandemic, no flu, no nothing. You know what I mean? There's nothing that will stop this man from killing. So like they just the reality of it is they fucking botched this movie. Whatever they were trying to do, it failed. It really did.
yeah,
This was
yeah.
not a Halloween, at least a Michael Myers movie. Like, man,
I know. Like I said, like seeing Michael all hurt down there, I was like, I gotta feel sorry for him. Like this is embarrassing a little bit.
bro, I'm
That's
sitting
what
there
I felt.
watching it. I'm watching it. And he's like shaking, like, and I'm just like, it's kind of like in the producer's cut, the Halloween 6, where Tommy puts the stones and says Sam Hain, and it stops Michael, and you see Wynn go up to him, and he's like, "What have they done to you, Michael?" That's exactly what I said when I saw that scene
Yeah,
of Michael on the ground, all fidgety and stuff. I'm like, "What have they done to you?" Like,
yeah,
as soon as I saw that, it also reminded me of the scene in Freddy versus Jason when Jason's, coddled up, and it's a kid version of him,
Yeah.
water's hitting
Yep.
him, and you hear Freddy like, "Look at you, looking like a little bitch." Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's exactly how I felt with that. And I was just like, wow, they are butchering in this movie with Michael Myers right now. Like, it's just, I will say this too, though. They definitely hit the nail on their influences. You know what I mean? Because this movie, if you've watched My Bodyguard, Butcher
Mhm.
Baker, Nightmare Maker, and Christine, this is honestly what this movie is, just all those three movies blended together. Because I
Yeah.
even did a video after I watched My Bodyguard, and I
Mhm.
said, I'm like, do not be surprised if you see Michael and Corey killing in the same place at the same time. If this movie is supposed to, mimic My Bodyguard, in that movie, those two were like buddy buddy, especially during the fight scene. They were, working together. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, I guarantee Corey and Michael are going to be killing people at the same place at the same time. Or Corey maybe might set it up, whatever. But there's going to be scenes where we see them in the same place at the same time. And that's exactly what happened.
Right. Right. And honestly, with that scene that you're talking about with them teaming up, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they're pretty much double dragging this bitch at this moment.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Like, what,
anyways,
man?
um, I wasn't really mad about that scene. I was like, okay, this that was kind of well executed. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it's everything that I saw in the sewer is what pissed me off.
Right.
I like the idea. Michael's in the sewer and that's where he's been. I like that idea. I want to know how he got there. How did he get there? Did someone take him there? Did he fall in a hole? Did he, on his last limb crawl in there? Whatever.
How
Like
did he
let
escape
it
his house past all those paramedics,
right.
all those cops?
Exactly. And see, that's what I wouldn't this movie be so much better? Also, hold on one second. Curse Marie, I can't handle child death. I get super upset. Me too. That's one thing I do not like to do. I don't like to see young kids
Nah,
get
me neither.
or babies or anything like that. That messes me up. And that's
Oh,
the dad
absolutely.
coming out of me. Yeah, I agree, Kirsten. But wouldn't this be so much better if this movie opened up on the ending of we could still do that whole Corey situation, that be the opening. But then after the credits, we kind of get a flashback of the night where Karen gets killed, and maybe Michael gets shot out the window and he disappears, and they're all searching for him or something. And that's where he goes, is the sewer. We actually get to see him go to the sewer, and that's where he goes. Like I need these answers.
Right.
And I know that it's like you ain't supposed to know. I get it. I need to know. I need to know. At
Right.
this point of this trilogy, I need certain little details like that just to make, especially if they're going to be changing things last minute and doing things as like an afterthought. Oh, now we're going to be 4 years ahead of time, and we're gonna do all
Right.
that. That's where I'm kind of like, okay, well, let's tie up what you did do before we go into left field over here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. Um, let me get to this chat for just a minute. Let me acknowledge some people. Also, if you're just coming in here, if you're going in and out or anything like that, smash that like button. Helps out the algorithm, helps my videos get out there and get seen. And I hope you're enjoying the conversation. I'm looking forward to seeing what you are saying in the chat here. Let me see. We got that sounded scary. Maybe Michael made that face in the walls as a marker to indicate where he dwells. He was down there for 4 years. Could be a big sewer slash cave. What do you think about that?
I mean, I just don't like the fact that they didn't explain that. Like, you even see Mulaney like look at it like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we didn't get no explanation. So I mean, I guess it would be okay, but I can't really see Michael Myers being an artistic chiseler. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know either. Maybe it's like a diversion or something like that for
Right,
people, so he
maybe.
can catch them off guard. That's I don't really know. I wish I would have had an explanation too, but we got somebody knocking at the door right now, and he's been on the channel a few times. We went to Texas Frightmare together,
Nice.
and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he thinks about this movie. So we're gonna have a great. I'm really looking forward to this. So yeah, we're gonna have this is gonna be interesting. All right, you know him as the Bearded Entertainment, but I know him as my buddy Eric. What is up, Eric?
Hey man, what's going on? Sorry, I was supposed to be here like a while ago. I am so sorry about that. We'll talk
No
backstage
worries.
about that. But yeah. Thanks for having me back, man. There is a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, there actually is. I know we've like chatted on text and stuff like that, just trying to pick our brain a little bit, see how we feel about the movie. I'm okay. So we're kind of starting from we're kind of been all over the place, really, but I wanted to kind of start from like the opening of the movie, and then maybe we'll catch up to where we're at right now. But like, w- first off, what's your overall feeling about this movie?
It's weird because I've said this in one of the chats before. Like I can list so many negative things about it, but I still love it. Like I love this movie. I don't know. It's odd, but like anytime I actually go in to try to talk about it, honestly, dude, I can shit on it for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I still like when I left the theater, I was happy. Like I was happy I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And like I don't know
Were
why.
you
Like I
happy with
kind of
the Were you happy with the ending?
yeah, like I was happy that it concluded like I might be one of the few people uh who is a big fan. Like I'm a huge Halloween fan. I'm a huge horror fan, but I feel like I'm one of the people who was okay with a definitive ending to Michael Myers because everyone knew going into this was going to be at the end of a timeline. Like this isn't the end of Halloween. Like Halloween ends is bullshit. This is the end of this timeline. We knew it was going to be, so I'm okay with a definitive ending to Michael Myers because they're just going to come in a few years and start up another timeline. So yeah, Laurie Strode is the final girl. Like there's been a couple others outside of her, like Black Christmas came before and Texas Chainsaw Massacre came before. But like when you think of final girl, you think of Laurie Strode. And in my
Yeah.
opinion, I was like, if they kill her, then she's no longer the final girl. Like if you're gonna be the final girl, you need to keep going. Like they can't just last for a few movies and all of a sudden you're not the final girl anymore. Like you start as a final girl and you end as a final girl. And I love that.
Didn't she tease like on the red carpet or something like that when she was when the premiere came out that it's possible that she could come back? Like I know that she wrote something and she made like this whole thing like no, this is it. I'm not coming back. But then she kind of teases audiences with like it could happen. It's all down to money, really.
I think it is. I want to say like there was something where she said it's something like it's not impossible, but then yeah, she did go on Kimmel and Jimmy Kimmel had that whole thing. It's like basically like a fake contract. It was more for humor, but it says basically like I'm not gonna be in any more Halloween sequels in any timeline or any multiverse. And there's like signs, Jamie Lee Curtis. But I want to believe she has a little bit more artistic integrity than that, especially after the debacle with like Resurrection.
Yeah.
So like I feel like, and there's
Some
They're
people
still
are
going.
throwing this movie up there with Resurrection. I've been seeing that all over social media, or with Rob Zombies too.
Here's the thing, though. I'm not going to disagree with them because this is like. Here's the thing with Resurrection. This is going to be a hot take. If you took the name Halloween off of that movie and gave it some other random new slasher and replaced Michael with it, that movie would have been successful.
It would have been acceptable. Yes. I've
Because
said that.
it's yeah, like, and I think this movie is similar, and it's the same thing with Rob Zombie Halloween 2. If you look at it like it's a Halloween movie, not good. If you look at it like a Rob Zombie movie, it's up there, man. Like, it's got the violence, it's got that Rob Zombie atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one thing I don't think you can take from Rob Zombie is like he made Michael Myers terrifying in a more brutal way, and cinematography. I love the way Rob Zombie shoots his stuff. But I mean, I'm not going to disagree with those people. It is in the same kind of, I don't know, it's in the kind of the same spot as those movies, like where it might not work well to a lot of people as a Halloween movie. But, and I think Steven over at Craven Something Scary even said this too. If you look at it like that, it leaves something to be desired. But if you look at it like its own thing, like its own standalone thing, it's a little better.
Yeah, I agree. Like there is enjoyment out of this movie. I did enjoy it for the most part. It's just not what I wanted to see. I'm not satisfied with the Laurie Strode story. I'm not satisfied with the Michael Myers story. I just feel it almost, besides a few little nods to the previous two movies, it almost feels like it's not even connected in a way. Like it's just a different tone. Like it's just not. It puzzles me. It's like it almost feels like it was a different director. Feels like, okay, this is not David Gordon Green, but it is. But like I was telling Marcus earlier, is that you can definitely tell that Jamie Lee Curtis had more creative control over this one than the past two. You see, like it's almost like she's almost written her dialogue almost. Like and Jamie Lee Curtis did a great job. She came to play. It's probably the best that we've seen Laurie Strode since 2018. Well, in Kills we didn't see her too much, but I'm just saying, like, she's strong. She's got her stuff together better. But it just seems like it's almost like certain things that they focus on is this whole monster thing inside of all of us. And I get it. I get it, but like quit beating our heads over with it. Like I'm just like, okay, we get it. Let's get back to Michael Myers.
She was and it's gonna be weird to say, overutilized in the recap area. Like that opening, was entirely for not the Corey opening, but immediately after that with her basically recapping 78, 2018 and Kills. Like that wasn't for us. That was completely for people who never seen any of the movies and just decided to go to the theater this weekend. And then just kind of narrating things as they went. I don't think we needed that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, in comparison to Kills, I loved Laurie in this movie. Like in Kills, her dialogue was so cringy. Like it was, I don't know, everything she said was so on the nose and cheesy. And I didn't like it. It was another aspect of Halloween Kills that wasn't great for me. I understand a lot of people do like it, but that was one of the things that didn't sit well with me. And in this one, I don't know, I feel like she had a good character. Like she actually had a character who said things that like I could I could see someone in her place saying, like, I understand why she'd be trying to protect her granddaughter. And honestly, I thought she was pretty good in this movie. Like, it's the best example for me is when, are we doing spoilers?
Yes, this is a full
Okay.
spoiler. Let it
I,
rip, man.
I just want to make sure when Corey, after he's been kicked out, wakes up in the house where the kid, and like he wakes up to this knocking and he's like, what the hell is that? And you see her just sitting in that chair rocking, just waiting on him.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, that was such a badass scene to me, where she's like, I know who the hell you are. I know what you are. You need to get yourself together. We can help you. Trying to stop it before it even starts. Like, I love that. And I will. I mean,
How did she know that he was there?
I don't know. That's well, I'm assuming, since they did show us.
And why
I'm
is
trying
this
to
house
remember.
because of one death in the house? Why is this house all boarded up? Like,
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's because the husband. It's a terrible statistic, but that's a real life thing. Most couples do not survive the death of a child because.
well, yeah, I
So
know, but it
I'm
would go
pretty
back
sure
on the
it's.
market, right? Or the bank would take it, and
I mean, unless it was like actually already paid off and it was still theirs and they just didn't want to do anything with it.
yeah, I feel like almost like as many times as we went back to that house, I was like, well, the climax has to take care. Like maybe there could be a scene like they're having to go into that house to find Corey, or they're tracking him down, but Michael Myers is there as well. Like I don't know what it was about that climax scene, but like what we saw up to where Corey was shot, and then Michael Myers walks into the house. Like, I just didn't like how that was executed. I did not.
Here's my question: is first of all, how does Michael get to Lori's as fast as Corey does? Corey's on a motorcycle, and it happens at least twice because
But they're
when he
working
shows
together.
up. Yeah, but like, do you think Michael's riding shotgun on his motorcycle with him?
Yeah.
How's he getting there? No, he's not. No, come on now. Like, they already made him look like enough of a bitch. You ain't making him ride bitch on that
need to do it.
motorcycle.
That was a scene that was edited out. That was deleted, and it was like, "Take my breath away," and they were just
Dude,
the wind.
I'm not gonna lie though, there was that jump cut in the movie, like right after the kill, where
Yeah.
it cuts over and you see Corey, then you see the hands on his face while on the motorcycle for a split second, because it's like right after him and Michael have a scene. There was a split second there where I'm like, is Michael on the back of the motorcycle with this fool?
Okay. So, all right, let's talk about this for a second. Okay, am I going crazy here, or did Corey's hand start to heal after he killed somebody? Because he took his bandage off at the doctor's house, and it looked almost healed compared to what it was. Like it was getting better.
No, I mean, if you remember what happened right after that, Allison looked at it and she said it's infected.
I saw that afterwards, but
So I think it was hurting him, and that's why he took it off to like look at it. And then she looked at it and she said it was infected. I thought the same thing. I was like, is this dude getting like some regenerative powers right now?
Yeah, because remember, the redhead slams his hand in the door, or
Yeah.
So that's why he takes it off and he goes to look at it and he's like trying to, give it pressure and all that stuff. Like, but I will say this: it's funny you brought that up, because it's not that I thought the same thing, but I did kind of feel like in that moment, like when he was like checking his hand or whatever, he didn't feel the pain. And you can make a case for that, because even when Allison like moves his hair back and she sees the bruise and she asks him, does it hurt? He's like, no. So that's not impossible. Maybe, maybe it's not like his hand was healing, but maybe because his hand got caught in the door, but maybe he didn't feel the pain, which is why he took the Band-Aid off and decided to check and, feel for pressure and see if it hurt.
okay.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
It's possible.
Okay. So since we got bearded here, and I already asked you, Marcus, is he supernatural or not?
No, he's not supernatural.
Okay, explain.
All right. I got just a few points, maybe like 3. First of all, what would y'all say the message of this movie is? The message they were going for, not necessarily that they landed, but the message that they were going for.
That we're monsters. Everyone's has a monster in them.
Would it be
That there's
that
evil all around.
society contributes to making monsters?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what I took from it, and I think that's what's Jamie Lee Curtis said, that we're a little culpable in the whole Michael Myers thing. Well, if that's the message of your movie, how does that mesh with the fact that, well, I mean, that's completely wrong. If Michael Myers just swoops in, lovingly looks into your eyes for a second, and now you're a monster, that goes completely against the message of the movie.
It's
Like,
true.
all right, that's 1. 2, and I remember we were on a stream the other day. It was you, Craven, Alex from Podcast Now, and myself. I believe I was the only one who was not necessarily against the supernatural route, but the only one saying I don't believe it would happen. And I asked y'all what it would take for you to confirm that it was supernatural. I made sure to ask that question. And I believe one of the answers was the ability to like take damage and keep going like Michael does.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen. This dude, first of all, right after this, we go to the doctor's house. He does kill the doctor, but it was weird. And when he goes to try to kill the nurse, the redhead, like he slams his hand in the door, he very obviously winces in pain, and he can't even get through the door. Also, once he does go to Laurie's, 2 shots in him, and he falls over the balcony, and he's done. Like, you can hear the blood building up in his lungs. He's crawling, like he's done. So he didn't get any sort of, he's not taking damage and keeping going. That's 2. And then on the other end, Michael didn't lose any of that stuff. Like, Michael didn't get any weaker, because after that, we still see him full on lift the woman and then stab her into the wall. Michael does take damage and keep going. Like, he doesn't really have.
And then he gets tackled by Corey.
Yeah, he gets tackled by Corey and gets bitched and manhandled by Corey. Like, after that scene,
I 100% agree. Like, that was one of the most egregious things I think they've ever done in a Halloween movie. That was awful.
I wanted to throw something,
but dude, yeah, like I
had my Yorkie dog in my hands whenever I watched it the second time. I wanted to throw him like a football. Like, I was like, oh wait, that's my dog. I can't do that.
But like, I don't know, all the stuff that you would think would come with being supernatural, right?
Yeah.
The power, the strength, the ability to take all this damage and keep going. Corey never got any of it, and Michael never lost any of it.
Yeah.
And then, so the only thing is that I will give that could be construed as him being, taking over some transference or whatever, is the 2 characters saying that his eyes look different. Like, that wasn't the same eyes.
See, I didn't buy that. I couldn't buy that.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'm thinking changed him. It wasn't looking into Michael's eyes, because he didn't see anything looking into Michael's eyes. Michael saw something looking into his. Michael just saw his past. Yeah, he saw all the shit that he's been through, and it's like, okay, maybe this kid is okay. What I think changed him, and which is the same thing that I think changed Michael Myers, was his first kill. because right after he comes out of the sewer, that the homeless man comes up to him and starts shouting at him like and everything, and he kind of accidentally on purpose kills the homeless man, and that's when he changes.
Yeah. Yeah, and but see, that's another thing though. Like, okay, so me and Marcus was talking about this earlier about the homeless guy, and he made the comment that he's been pulling people down there for some time.
That's
If
another
he's been
logical.
if he's been killing people, then he should have his strength back. He's transcending, because you saw him going in convulsions. He's like, I got demons running all through me, all
Oh yeah,
through me.
oh yeah.
Like
That's
Beetlejuice.
another logic problem in my opinion. Like they're gonna.
That's supernatural to me though, man. Like he's like, show me how it's done, and he's sitting there, he's killing the Mulaney, and then he stands up straight, and he no longer has that little gimp thing going on. He's like, he stands up straight, and he's like breathing regularly, like he's got his strength back. That's like some mummy shit. That's like every time the mummy kills somebody, he's regaining part of himself or something, you know? Like
I was thinking more of the original Hellraiser.
Yeah, same thing. Really.
But I mean, I didn't see that as supernatural. I mean, in terms of Michael Myers, I didn't in this movie. I didn't see it as supernatural. I saw it more like adrenaline. Like,
see, I think the thing is too, though, is that when you see somebody, take the amount of punishment. Okay, so we see Michael take all this punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Then we see Corey put on the mask, but he's not able to take none of that punishment. So for Michael, there has to be some type of supernatural element to that character to be able to go on for that long.
But would he have been able to if Laurie didn't take that mask off? Like, he took his mask off right after he got shot.
Yes, because, I mean, I want to say this. He obviously still had enough power. He still obviously had enough power to get to Laurie's house, to even get to the mask and put it on. So he had enough strength without his mask to even walk over. It's not like, the mask without it, it made him like totally shut down. You see him sit right up after that. Another thing why the mask is, somewhat like why the mask off doesn't really have an effect on him and doesn't change who he is. A lot of people forget this. Before he even got the mask in 1978, he killed the mechanic. So his power and his strength and that evil is still inside of him. You know what I mean? I just feel like the mask is powerful for Michael in terms of himself, because this is just this is what he sees. This is what he sees looking out the window, which is blank and nothing. That's what I think. You know what I mean? Because the mask didn't give Corey any supernatural, abilities. It didn't give him any extra strengths. And the mask not being on Michael has never stopped him from killing. Just like when he didn't have the mask in 2018. He still killed the podcasters, was still at full strength. You know what I mean? So, like the mask itself, you know what I mean? Like,
I never looked at it as like giving him extra strength.
Right.
I just looked at it as he could heal. He could bounce back easier while it's on. Like, you could not kill him while he's wearing it. That's the way I always looked at it. Eric, you had something you wanted to add?
Oh, I was thinking something, but yeah, Marcus cleared it up what I was thinking about. Like, and to go along with this point, yeah, he's killed his first kill, his sister, the three people who the mechanic and the podcasters. He didn't pick like this mask. Like that's another thing we got to think about, like the original mythology. This was just something random he picked up in a hardware store while he was going to get like knives and a rope. Like, this is, I think a lot of people go into the supernatural element because they want to try to explain it. And in my opinion, I mean, it's more horrifying to think about the fact that this is a regular person. And this was my last point to it not being supernatural. Lori even says it right at the end, like, you're not the boogeyman, you're just a man.
Yeah.
Right before she proves that by dispatching this man.
See, but where it kind of is hypocritical, because then for all that, he should have been dead back in 1978. If he is just a man, he shouldn't have been able to take 6 slugs. If he
Or
is just
kills.
he should have never been able to survive that beat down from the mob. I'm just saying, like, they basically contradicted, the dialogue, in my opinion, with that, because we've seen this guy take punishment that a normal man in life should not, or probably would not be able to take. You know what I mean? And he still kept going at full strength. So for her to say, that, I thought you were the boogeyman, but you're not, you're just a man. That just doesn't really make sense for me.
All right, I brought this up on Steven's, on one of Steven's stream as well, but like, I don't think he's supernatural, and it's going to sound weird, but I don't think he's normal either. There are exceptional people in this world. There's 2 examples that come to mind in the real world when I think about this. One of them, you may never have heard of him. He's a sailor. He was a Navy SEAL named Danny Dietz. This dude was in Afghanistan, part of a really terrible mission. This dude was shot 12 times, thrown down a mountain, and kept going. He ended up dying over there, but he kept going. And like, because he's part of a movie that was made, and like, it was a big thing when the approval for the movie got out there, because his parents were like, I want you to know, like, I want you to make sure you know how hard this guy fought. That's one example. This dude was, like I said, he was shot 12 different times. He was part of a 4-man group that was up against like 70 people in a firefight on the mountain. And anyways, this is a real life man. So that's awful. And there was more injuries that it goes into in detail than like his coroner report after they got his body back. But like, this dude took punishment and he just kept going. And I give you, that's not normal. That's not something you see. That's an everyday person. They're going to get like 2 or 3 and they're going down for the count, praying for mama. But like, I give you, Michael isn't normal, but it's not impossible for someone to do that. And another one is actually even worse. This really quick example. There was this woman who basically is back in the 80s, 70s or 80s. She got picked up by a hitchhiker. Hitchhiker turned out to be a very, very bad person. She knew she was going to survive. That's pretty much it. She had that determination. She was going to get out of there. Dude ends up like literally lopping off her hands while she's alive with an axe, stabs her multiple times, throws her off a 30-foot cliff.
Damn.
And everything. Thinks she's dead because she's playing dead. This girl, like, she walks out of there. I think she's like 17 or 18 at this point. She walks out of there and is walking for 3 hours before she's able to wave down a car. And once they do catch the dude, she goes to court and testifies against him. And she's still alive to this day. Like, that's an extreme example, but it's real, man. Like, what Michael's been through, it's not impossible for someone to survive. Like, it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. And I think we want to justify, as much as like a lot of people say they don't want an answer to how Michael is able to do this. One of the first things they'll do is say there's got to be something abnormal about him, or he couldn't do that. And then they'll go to the supernatural. And I get it. Like, if that's where you want to go with it, I can't prove it wrong 100%. But in this movie, I think with those 3 things I pointed out, like the fact that there was no power or like ability to take damage that left from Michael and went to Corey. There was no, I don't know, he still wasn't great at killing. Although, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but that doctor kill, when like she comes, the woman comes out, and you can, I don't know if y'all notice it, but like you can see something moving in the shadows.
Yes, that
And
was
it was
cool.
like, I'm like, because
I got
I've only
stranger
watched it in the
vibes.
theater so far. I was like, what the hell is that moving in the background? Because you just see it coming up and going down.
Yep.
I'm like, and then she turns the light on. That first sight of him, like with that corkscrew, I'm like, oh my god, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, so but he didn't have like some great ability to kill. He wasn't able to.
Why? Why were they at their house?
What do you mean?
I was just wondering. Like, I thought it was just like. I mean,
Like,
I know
why did Corey go there?
Yeah.
When he was in the initial scene when he met Allison, he asked her, like, the doctor, because that was Allison's boss. He's like,
he just wanted to kill the doctor.
Yeah, he wanted to kill the doctor because he didn't like the way she treated Allison, or the way he treated Allison. And then I think the woman was just kind of a victim of opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, see, I mean, not really though, because you could make the case that when they were at that party, Corey overheard her talking about him or whatnot and stuff like that. Because when she said to Allison, when she said to Lindsay, "Oh, she's dating Corey Cunningham, that that babysitter killer or whatever and stuff like that," whatever she said about him, and you can like see Corey like he's listening in and stuff like that, and then Allison obviously is basically like, "I don't care," you know what I mean, and goes and takes him a drink. So, you know what I mean, and plus, I mean, not that I mean, we didn't get a scene of dialogue about it, but maybe Allison told Corey about her losing the promotion to that girl. You know what I mean? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is also in the bar and Kills opening scene. Remember the doctor and the nurse?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They were talking about him and how he likes to sleep with his interns and stuff. Yep. So,
wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they were talking about this doctor. So it's no secret, in the town what's going on with them. So I think it was kind of same thing for the cop. Like Allison's ex-boyfriend, like he was a dick, but I think majority of the reason is Corey's like, well, I'm gonna go take care of this for her. And this brings me to one of the reasons I love the movie so much. So when Michael goes on this killing spree, like none of it is even like debatably justified. It's innocent people, and it's Michael ruining that.
Mm-hmm.
When Corey goes on it, I'm rooting for him. I'm like, y'all brought this on yourselves. Like you fucked with this kid so much. You pushed him to a breaking point, and now you got to deal with the demon you made.
Yeah.
And that's another reason I have a problem with that message. The message that we kind of all agreed on, that society makes monsters. That's not what Halloween's about. We didn't make Michael Myers. Michael Myers, he exists and we deal with him. Like we didn't push Michael Myers or something. He killed his first person when how old? He's 6?
Right. Yeah. He wasn't.
So like the fact that they're now, even if you're just including this timeline, 4 movies in, saying society makes these monsters and stuff. It's like, no, Michael was there. Like he started this.
Yeah.
And no one, like, from all we saw. Yeah, from all we saw, Michael had a good home life. Like, he was well taken care of, and then he snapped for no reason. So, but that's another reason I kind of had a problem with the message of this movie. But I guess I was just able to look at that character of Corey outside of outside of a Halloween movie setting and be like, okay, like these kids keep messing with this dude, like, and they keep going to this place and are making him go to this place in his head of just rage.
His mom was super weird. I didn't really like his mom, like as far as like I wasn't believing. Maybe it just was the actress, the way she was delivering the lines or what, but I didn't I didn't buy that whole scene with Lori and his mom. Like I was like, this doesn't.
No.
This seems like very forced writing right here. Like this doesn't even feel right.
It felt so out of place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, did you notice that like whenever Corey goes and kills his mom, that they cut away and those are the photos, and that's in the trailer where she's holding up the pillow and there's feathers going everywhere. Like they completely cut that out. I hope we get that in the extended cut.
Yeah, there was I feel like there was a couple things in the trailers that didn't make it to the movie, but
they made his mom exactly like Arnie Cunningham's mother.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically Arnie Cunningham.
Yeah, he was.
She reminded me of Bette Midler.
in appearance, she kind of did. Yeah,
yeah. I was like, damn, we got Hocus Pocus in a Halloween movie. What's going on?
Yeah, man, it was that whole relationship was. I mean, it's not it's not or impossible, but it just felt so
right.
And I think once again, that was to pile on to the fact that not only is he dealing with all this stuff from bullies out in town, he's kind of dealing with dealing with it in a different way at home, and more than likely he has been his entire life.
Yeah, but like I guess another thing that was hard for me to believe was like whenever his mom is saying to Lori like they needed a new boogeyman because they couldn't find your boogeyman, and stuff like that. I'm just kind of like, why is everybody? I mean, I get it that like everybody, like, I get it with at the grocery store with the lady that survived from kills and that, but like, I just felt like they were just like really just like trying to make Lori feel guilty about all this, and it just, I wasn't really buying it.
You want to know what I think one of the dumbest elements of this movie was?
What's that?
In the opening, when Lori's explaining how Michael like infected the town, and you see this stream of like dead bodies that weren't Michael's, but she's talking about how like they're all like people are all speculating that it could be Michael and stuff like that, and talking about
did y'all notice this? Is this one of them the lady that was hung?
Oscar's mother.
I did not catch that.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded scary. That's a good catch.
Yep. Oscar's mother. She was wearing his costume.
Oh, that was Oscar's mom?
Yep.
Okay, so this is actually what I was about to talk about. Thank you for clearing that up, because I didn't make that connection, and that actually, well, I don't like that, because you know what happened in the movie. Do you remember what she said right at the point where it showed that? She was narrating, Jamie Lee Curtis was, and Lori said like basically people taking their own lives who never had who never crossed Michael's path.
Yeah.
And it made it seem like it's just this person who killed themselves, but they never had any, anything to do with Michael. But that's not true. If that's Oscar's mom, which it makes a lot of sense, now. But if that's true, like she did cross Michael's path. She may not have met him face to face, but like her child was taken by Michael. That's not good writing. Like, because that's literally what I was just about to talk about, was how it was so stupid that they're like, oh, and this person who never crossed paths with Michael even hung themselves because of Michael. But thank you for pointing that out. I need to rewatch it on Peacock. But yeah, that's not good. That goes into it was already a negative, but that's makes it even more of a negative. That is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a lie. Like, yeah, she didn't cross. I guess not. She didn't cross paths with Michael, but like,
this whole movie is a lie.
It felt like that. That's the thing. It's like it felt like it was like two different scripts, and they were trying to make it work.
Did you see what I put in the chat earlier, Destin?
What's that? All right, remind me.
The guy who was talking about this being like 2 movies that was put together.
Oh yeah. I did.
Yeah, like he's like, oh, what happened to that script? Okay, you don't have an ending. Cool. I have a Halloween movie, but it's only an ending. Yeah, that is what it felt like. Like it
Yeah.
and I
I
don't know.
want
Like
to.
I
I
think
want
the
to know what the original ending, what the original third movie was going to be, with it being in the same night and everything. And honestly, I wanted to see Michael Myers show up to the hospital. I wanted a badass. See, I wanted that in Kills. Like I wanted Michael to end up in at the hospital at some point and just killing people like left and right. Like there's just like a rampage. And then that's where Laurie and Michael has their showdown. I know it's a lot like Halloween 2, but I want it to be on steroids. I want it to be just like, you know, bloodier and more badass. I guess like in this
Kind of like
trilogy.
the rampage scene in Curse of Michael Myers when he goes, through Smith's Grove,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, I wanted to see stuff like that, or even in this one, like him making it to the hospital. But no, they didn't. I don't know, and that brings me to my next point. It didn't really. I mean, I know it was shot in a different location, but it just didn't feel like Haddonfield to me for some reason. I just didn't feel like it was Haddonfield.
Do you think that was on purpose to like kind of convey for Lori, especially that like she's moved on, like not moved out, but like moved on, like it.
Well, then they should have
She's
moved out. Then the movie should be taking place somewhere other than Haddonfield.
I mean, to Eric's point though, I mean, they kind of did do that at the end though with Allison leaving.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I
So-
said a long time ago that's what was going to happen.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, man, I can agree with that, Destin. Now I think about it, the cinematography felt like Halloween, but the overall setting didn't really feel like Haddonfield. I don't like there was a lot of open roads. Like Haddonfield kind of seems like, really close knit, little streets with nice little, houses and stuff like that. Not much, long streets, where you're getting an extended road. I felt like in this movie, especially when you've seen Corey riding his bike, you've seen a lot of extended roads in this movie that we didn't see too much in the other two. So, I mean, I can agree with that.
Yeah, or whenever Corey was coming out of the bar and it's full of cars like back and forth. Like I'm like,
it's like a highway.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a major highway. Y'all keep talking. I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah, you good, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I just felt like for me as a Halloween fan, you know what I mean? Like they could have at least did Michael a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like I get it, they were trying to be different, and I respect that. You know what I mean? I respect that they tried to be different within the Halloween movie, but given what they built up in Halloween Kills, especially with Hawkins' character, it really disappointed me not seeing him enough in this movie. And then also with Allison, like I was disappointed with Allison in this movie in the sense that, like, I get it. She's trying to move on, and she even makes that point to Corey that, I know what it's like for people to, talk about you, but not know anything about your life and all that. But after what you had been through, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, and you didn't listen to your grandmother before. And then when she's trying to warn you now, like she knows this shit. She knows when, something's about to go wrong because she's lived through it. And you just totally disregard what she's saying, you know what I mean? And just make it seem like you've never been through anything like this before. Like, oh no, you're just obsessed with death. I didn't really like that. Now, one thing I did catch, I don't know if you caught it, Eric. You know what I mean? It's just my opinion. I thought for the ending that we were going to get a reveal that the evil went into Allison. And the reason why I say that is because, in my opinion, I feel like in this movie they teased that with how easy she was given into Corey, how easy she was given into kind of going down that dark path. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And then, like, especially when she walks in on Lori, you know, with the knife, and she thought that he killed Corey. I mean, she, you know, she thinks that Lori kills Corey. I thought in that moment, I'm like, oh shit, maybe, just maybe, because, you know, she was feeding into this. You know what I mean? Maybe this is where Allison flips. You know what I mean? But we didn't get that. And then just the whole ending with, oh, you know, you were right about Corey. I know he killed all of those people. It just felt really rushed, and it didn't feel like there was much resolve to that, in my opinion. Like, it just, you know what I mean? Like, especially when you were warned and you were warned and you were warned, and it's just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Well, like, I don't know, man. Like,
I agree, especially with your first point. Like they made a point in the movie, in Kills, of having Allison say, like, you were right. Like, nobody believed you about the boogeyman, but you were right. Like, they made a point of having that in Kills. And then it comes to this, and it's like the only person she has left, her mother's dead, her father's dead. Like, the only person we know of that she has left is her grandmother, and her grandmother, who knows what she's talking about. And then when her grandmother comes to this, she's like, no, you're crazy. I don't believe you. And it's like, it's a complete reversal. And it's 4 years later, and she's trying to move on. But I think she does. It feels odd for her character to not acknowledge anything about it, to completely disregard all of it.
right.
But to address my opinion on what you're the next point you were making about Allison, like, being so easily taken over by Corey, I think that's true. Like, she was kind of under his spell. I don't think it was like an evil thing. I think Allison wanted to get out of Haddonfield. She did, but she felt like she couldn't because she needed to take care of Lori.
Right.
Like, because we forget, Halloween 2018, Lori was still like a functioning alcoholic. Like, she does show up at the dinner and she starts knocking back wine. She's sitting in her truck drinking vodka or whatever it was. Like, Lori was not in a good place. And I think Allison, now that her mom's gone and everything, like, it showed even in 2018, Allison kind of was the only person trying to help Lori.
Right.
So I think she felt stuck there because Lori. And I think what she was drawn to with Corey is he's the first person who came out and been like, no, you need to live your own life. Like, you want to go? Let's go. We can do that. And stuff like that. Like, I think that's what she was drawn to, is he was just kind of, and I mean, not gonna lie, it's the whole classic bad boy thing. He kind of gave off that vibe toward,
He was like Marky Mark in Fear.
Yeah, like he kind of got he was kind of giving off those vibes. Like, he was a bad boy, and he was willing to say, like, you want to go? Like, you and me, we can get on a motorcycle tonight and we can go and leave. And she was willing to do that. And I think that's what she was drawn to. I never at all expected her to go evil, but I didn't think, once again, I didn't think there was any evil transference. I didn't think that would, personally, I didn't believe that would mesh well with the point of the movie, and I didn't see it happen. I didn't. So I if that would have happened, and like they would have just all of a sudden went into that would have been a huge negative for me. If all of a sudden, like, oh, well, now this evil's in Allison, because the whole point was, like, there could have been something evil inside of everyone. But we spend this entire movie developing that evil inside of Corey. We see why it comes out. But even if we do all have this evil, something's got to happen for it to, like, show its ugly face. Well, if they would have just all of a sudden did that with Allison, like, oh, Corey's dead, now Allison's got it, I would have been like, that, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like Jason Goes to Hell, when he's that little parasite you kill the person he's in, and he comes out of your mouth and like runs
Or-
around
Did
and
you ever
goes
see
into
that?
someone else.
You ever see
Now,
that movie? I was thinking of you ever seen that movie with Denzel Washington and John Goodman? What's the name of that movie?
Denzel and John Goodman.
Yeah, it's supernatural, but it's like the dude gets
Fallen?
executed. Fallen. Something like that, where the spirit just kind of like picks, it just kind of like glides through the air and it just picks somebody. You never know who it's infected. Really cool movie if you haven't seen it. I was thinking something like, I honestly thought at the very end, like like okay, so we see that Lori has the mask, right? Which, I mean, okay, so yeah, the towns, the police and everybody could let her keep it and just act like it's missing or whatever. But she has it out like on, her coffee table in her living room, which I was like, okay, that was an odd choice to just lay it there. I got Scream 3 vibes too at the very end. Like showing all the different rooms and it's real sunshiny and everything's
Right.
good and there's nothing to fear anymore and all that, yada yada yada. But like, wouldn't it be really dark if like Hawkins seems like he's aged a lot. Like he seems like, it's in this one, he just felt a lot older. I don't know if it was just the way he delivered his lines or what, but I was like, wow, there's been some years or something filming this one because he's aged a little bit. And I was thinking at the end how sweet it was. Like, wouldn't it be really dark if like Lori ended up putting on that mask and killing Hawkins? Like now, like that be the ending. That would have been messed up.
Well,
Oh,
see,
bro, that would have been awful.
that's interesting. That's interesting that you brought that up because Craven was talking about it earlier on his live stream that one of the endings that was in a test screening, one of the endings was supposed to be that the evil transferred into Lori, but it transfers into her, but she moves out of Haddonfield and secludes herself and locks herself into like a secluded house, so she doesn't want to come out and hurt anybody, and that's how basically that ending ended.
Well,
That's
that would have been that doesn't mean that nobody would ever found her or she would never broken out. Like
right, but
that would have been kind of
apparently
like
that was one of the alternate. That was one of the endings, is that the evil is supposed to go into Lori. She moves out of Haddonfield and just locks herself away, secluded in the house, so she doesn't go out and kill people.
yeah, no.
Yeah. Let's. I'm glad they replaced it. Here's the thing, like I said, I like the ending we got with Lori and Michael and Allison.
I wanted that fight scene to be a little bit longer, just a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the the actual ending in terms of the fight scene leading up to it. I don't even think this one was as I don't know, as fun, for lack of a better word, as like 2018. Like their battle in 2018 was like, that went off. Like they were like Lori was fighting like a wild animal. And in
Right.
this one, but I mean, to be fair, at that point, she really had been waiting for 40 years for that chance. Whereas this one, I do think in these 4 years, she has moved on. I think she has gotten away from like anticipating this fight and working toward this fight. I think she's tried to move on. And when it did come to the fight, I think that showed. But also, I don't know, they just did our man Mike dirty. Like he wasn't himself. And I don't know. I don't even know what else to say about it, honestly.
I could have
Like
believed it more if somebody else was down there pretending to be Michael Myers, and then we get the real Michael Myers, coming out. I don't know. Like I just wish we did not see those scenes. Those scenes just put a sour taste in my mouth. Like seeing Michael weak, seeing him going into convulsions and kind of getting stronger or getting a high or whatever it is, and then and then seeing Corey, that was really it. Was like when Corey tackles him and takes his mask and then like just crawls out of the sewer. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna bring up a point. This is something I was thinking about whenever I was away. And it's about Corey, and we're talking about this supernatural stuff. Corey did seem, whenever he took form, he was doing some van damage on the DJ, on the girl. He stomped on her head. It was almost like he was stronger than usual. I mean, you saw the DJ's mouth and jaw and everything, and then he, cut the tongue or whatever. I actually did like that. I thought that was like, I was like, okay, that was pretty wild. But like even stomping on the girl's head that's caught underneath the gate, underneath the tow truck, he smashed it like a pumpkin, like Michael did to Sartain in 2018. That's where I was starting to like, okay, now he's starting to get his strength. Like it, and maybe it's just, I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I think it just really lies on that they were just kind of sloppy with which they had too many directions that they wanted to do, and they didn't know which one to stick with. So they dabbled in a lot of them, and they were just hoping that something was going to work. And I've heard like behind the scenes stuff with like Jason Blum and David Gordon Green and stuff that like they were ready to be done with it. Like they just didn't.
What I heard, and maybe you guys know different, because you specifically said, Dustin, a little bit ago that you're wondering what the original movie was supposed to be. As far as I was aware, they only pitched 2 movies to Blumhouse. Like David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, they only pitched 2 movies, and obviously we got 3. And my question, my thought was like, okay, well, maybe they pitched Kills and 2018, or maybe they pitched 2018 and then another movie, and they just tried to stretch it into 2. Because like I think if you would have combined Kills and this movie, it'd been over. Like it'd been done. This would have been a great movie.
I don't know how you would do that though. How would you combine Kills in this one? How would that make sense? What do you mean?
If you like,
I could see combining 2018 and Kills because they're like on the same night.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think some of the elements, I guess.
Yeah.
Like some of the elements, like thematically, the whole how it's infecting the town, like how just to address that comment in a second, like keep that comment in your head. I'm sure y'all have heard this already too. Thematically, I think what we saw in 2018 is very, very on its own. Like it's how they personally dealt with the trauma and stuff. And then Kills, I feel like Kills and Ends deal very much with how it affects society, how society responds to it. They're both like a community-based thing. It's not like how we do it on an individual level. It's first, in Kills, it was anger, and they ended up killing the wrong person, and like they kind of thought that they were monsters. And then in Ends, it was anger turned to fear, and now they're turning other people into monsters. So I think they work thematically together better than Kills and 18. Like in terms of like actual story flow, yeah, Kills and 18 are great together. But to go back to that Christine thing, y'all are aware of what David Gordon Green said, right? When he originally wrote the script, he sent it to John Carpenter and was like, hey, this isn't too much like Christine, is it?
Right. Yeah, I did hear something about that.
And like he said he was worried about that. And I was like, bro, and that's another thing. I responded to Stephen King on Twitter today. I don't know if y'all saw, but Stephen King kind of came out and was like, this movie. Oh yeah, he was kind of sarcastic in it. He was like, I'm surprised. Basically, like, I'm surprised he's getting all the hate. He's like, "Oh my god, it's a character study." And I responded, I'm like, "I wonder if you like it so much because it's a very obvious clone of another movie, which was based off of your book." Because that's the thing. Like, Christine was originally a Stephen King book,
Yeah.
and the Stephen King movie, the Christine movie, obviously done by John Carpenter. Like this, it was, the more I watched it. And here's the thing, though. Like, I going back to why I loved the movie, I think it does better than Christine, because in Christine, I still didn't want to see, and maybe it's just a change of times, but I didn't want to see Arnie go down that dark path. But in this one, like, I was full on with Corey, like, take them out, man. Like, this world is better without those people. Like, do it. And it was fun to watch for me.
You know what it would have been fun to watch at the end of this movie?
Huh.
Right before Laurie is pushing him into, like, the, what do you call it? That grinder, the crusher, metal crusher.
Yeah.
If he got that one last scare and snatched her with him. And they both
I was
fell in.
thinking that the entire time. I was like, when she, like, knelt down to, like, push him, I'm like, there's no way I would do that. I don't care how much I know he's dead. There's no way I'm a
stick.
Dude. Yeah. Like, I would have used a crane to pick him up and drop him in. Like, there's no way. I don't care how much I know he's dead. If like, getting that close to this man who you've seen pop back up again and again and again, like, I was thinking that right when I saw it. First of all, Destin, you've done a little bit of writing, right, in terms of stories?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard of the whole Chekhov's gun thing, that whole theory.
Yeah.
I knew he was going in that crusher from the time we first saw it.
I did too.
I knew as soon as we saw the, we were in the junkyard as it opened, and we see people pushing it, and they just focus so much on those grinding gears in there, and I was like, that's where Michael's going. Yeah. I knew it was gonna happen, and then we got it, and I was like,
but wasn't it like one of the test screenings, one of the endings wasn't it that they took him to the junkyard and then they tied his legs and arms and they pulled him limb to limb, like from the cars, like they pulled him apart. They didn't throw him.
I've heard someone say that was supposed to happen. I've heard someone say they straight up crucified him.
I heard that too. I heard that they crucified him.
I don't know if I don't know if those were supposed to be like things that did happen, or if that's just people like kind of talking as to what they would have preferred.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm satisfied with what we got.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I like the fact that it's a definitive ending.
Do you not want it to continue?
I want more, but if it's true that Jamie Lee Curtis isn't coming back, and let's assume for the sake of my comments that that's true, that she's not coming back, I want this timeline to end. I don't want another timeline to exist in conjunction with Jamie Lee Curtis with Laurie Strode. Like,
yeah. No, I don't either. I wanted Hawkins to get that last shot. Like, even if they took him to the junkyard, like he walks over, shoots him. Like, maybe everyone kind of gets their turn on stabbing this boogeyman before they jump. They because Hawkins sucked as a shooter. Like he didn't go to the academy, I don't think. But he never took that shot in that flashback scene. And if he would have taken that shot, then none of this would have happened. I just wanted him, even though that the body is about to get thrown down, like him walking over and just like taking just one shot in the forehead, doing the Sidney Prescott thing from Scream. Like, just in case.
What I wanted is at the finale of the fight, when he's like Michael's pinned down, but he's choking Lori out still,
I
and
remember.
she's like, "Do it, do it." I wanted that to be Hawkins because Lori had already called in the suicide.
Took
So, like,
forever.
yeah, like they should have been on their way already. I wanted it to be Hawkins busting in, seeing this, and just empties a clip into Michael. Like that's what I wanted to see. That's what I was hoping for. Because so then it was like
That
they
would have been
both
better.
got their, yeah, they both got their redemption. Like Lori got to like, you know, and I'm sure she would have got a couple extra stabs in there too. But then Hawkins also got a little bit of, you know, he got a little bit of his redemption. He took the shot finally. I think that would have been a good ending. I mean, I'm glad Allison got a couple stabs because Michael did kind of forever mess her life up too. No mom, no dad, anything
But
like that.
don't you think that like this Corey character should have been Cameron though? Like it could be more because we've seen Cameron. We know Cameron. He grew as an asshole. He grew as a good guy. Then he became an asshole. Then he gained our trust as a character again and Kills. Even though that his character was one of the best death scenes in Halloween Kills. Cameron, Corey, shouldn't this be Cameron's role? Like, shouldn't this and as far as Corey, like it could have been, or at
I
least
get what you're
Corey
saying. Like
be like mentioned, you know, like as a classmate or something in the last movie.
it like overall, I get what you're saying. Like I agree that Corey should have been introduced earlier. I do like the fact that Corey is not Cameron. I actually loved Cameron's arc. Like we were like, okay, he's kind of cool. Then we saw how big of an asshole he was. Then he went out as a good guy. Like I love that growth. That's a good character arc. And dude, his death was, oh god, it was one of the toughest to watch in my opinion.
Yeah, it was suspenseful. It was
I mean that his
perfect
death
for a Halloween
alone,
movie.
Broke him up.
dude,
Yeah.
his death alone took about as much time as the final fight between Michael and Lori.
But we didn't get anything like that with Michael in this movie. We didn't get any suspense with Michael. The suspense was gone when you see him hurting. Like,
Right.
and then it just like even whenever he was kicking ass and he had the nurse and he stabbed her, that was cool. Okay, we've seen it before. Show me something new. Show me what you can do, Michael. I felt like Michael. Maybe that's why Lori could defeat him this time. Maybe he just wasn't completely full of strength. I didn't like how he arrived to that house. And I didn't like how Lori was also sitting there between those two doorways. Whenever he was like she didn't just like peep over, like see him picking up the mask and like struggling with Corey and before he breaks his neck. I'm like, all it takes is a quick like look around the corner because you can see the staircase where they were just at. And I know they were trying to direct it, but she was just kind of like puzzled, like, what's going on? Where is he? I hear something. I just didn't like how that was all directed right there. You know what?
Well,
did y'all catch any of that? Did y'all feel that same way, or am I just thinking too much into it?
see, I didn't, and here's why. I think a lot of people forgot, and I forgot about this initially. We got to remember that up until this point, Lori still thinks Michael's gone. Like she never thought or indicated that Michael was back.
That's another thing. That's another thing, Eric, is that how the hell is she so much more mentally stable and healthier after her daughter has been killed and he's missing? At least in 2018, she knew where he was locked up and she was completely fucked. But in this one, you have more trauma, a lot more trauma happened to you. Your daughter gets murdered, and then he's just missing. I would be on fucking edge. I wouldn't be healed. I'd be more of a loose cannon. I don't know. Like, it just motivations and certain character things like that just didn't make sense to me. That's
I
where
I look at it like she accepted it that he was dead. That's the way I viewed it. Like she wasn't looking at it like he was missing. She was looking at it like he was dead because
he's been gone for 4
in
years.
her head she's probably like, if he has the ability to come back, he will come back.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't come back, it's because he can't or because he's dead. So, but that's to go back to what you were originally saying with the scene, how she was like looking around, like wondering what to do. Up until that exact moment, she was not expecting Michael Myers. So, like, she was expecting Corey. This whole movie wasn't about her building up to another confrontation with Michael. This whole movie was her trying to save Allison from this kid who she thinks has similar qualities to him. So imagine what's going through her head when she's like, I just took out this kid who was going to be the next Michael Myers. Oh, fuck, Michael Myers is still alive and he's in my house right now.
Well, see, that's another thing that like, okay, I get it. I get it. But I said it earlier, and I don't think Bearded, I don't think you were on here. I think me and Marcus was talking about it, but seeing Michael Myers' eyes through the mask a few times throughout the movie, like that bugged me a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, we've made it a point that like I thought they were righting the wrongs in the last two movies. Why are they letting this small detail go in this movie? And then, you know, the scene where Laurie sees Corey and Allison go up the stairs and she's outside the house, and then Michael's right there by the tree, and then he kind of turns. I didn't even like the way that looked. Something about that just felt off to me.
It felt like you were seeing behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like we saw too much of Michael watching her. Like
in the wrong way.
In the wrong way. And I was like, what? I don't know what I'm expecting to see here. I want to see less. But it just something just felt really like I said, it just felt like a different director on this one. It just felt like somebody else that didn't direct the last two.
Another thing to point on is when Corey does show up with the Michael Myers mask, how you said like Laurie doesn't see Michael coming. Well, at that point, you should see Michael coming, because how the hell else would this kid get that mask? I mean, how else would he get the mask?
Yeah, right. And then also, if you notice, like, and hopefully this is like if they do like they did with Kills and having an extended scene or alternate ending, whatever. In the trailer, we get more of Corey sneaking up the stairs and going into that bedroom. This one, we just think that Laurie shoots herself, and then all we see is the hand come down. And I'm like, hold on, did we even know that Corey was on his way? Like, I saw the shadow just for a second in the background. I remember seeing that, but I think the way it was delivered in the trailer was better.
It was,
in my opinion. I was like, let's play that, and then he gets shot down. Like,
I agree. Yeah, like it could have gone better. It could have gone better. I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't. Like I said, dude, I could shit on this movie for hours and hours, but still somehow when I was just so happy watching it. And you know, to continue shitting on it, and I want to know what y'all think about this. I personally wasn't a huge fan of Kills. I haven't been reserved with that at all. I'm very open about the fact that I wasn't a fan of it because I don't think it's a complete story. I think it was the middle chapter of a trilogy, and if that's the justification they want to use, fine. If you want to say, you know, it's not incomplete, it's the middle chapter, so you got to watch it as one, that's fine. And then David Gordon Green even addressed it in an interview He talked about how people were talking, people were saying they didn't like the ending because it didn't resolve any of the chaos or anything like that. And he was like, okay, yeah, you just got to wait for the next one. But then you give us this and you don't resolve any of the things from Halloween Kills. Like, we didn't get any resolution from Halloween Kills. So that's probably my biggest issue with this movie, is that we were expecting closure, a final chapter from Kills.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that at all. Like, we got this other movie, which I still liked, but it didn't do what it was supposed to do as a final chapter of a trilogy.
You know what this felt like? You know what this really felt like? This movie just felt like was another reboot. It felt like this was the first of something. It felt like this movie is a sequel to 1978, but 2018 and Kills didn't happen. Like, that's, if they just did it like that, like just the way it's presented to us. I mean, if you really wanted to look at it like that, me personally, 2018, I watched that again recently. I forgot how good that movie was. I really
Dude, 2018, it's so good, and that's what makes this such a slap to the face.
Yeah,
it's because we know they can do it right.
Yeah,
that's what that's the most egregious part. We know they can do it right.
They were on the right track, and then they get misguided. Halloween Kills, great premise. Let's just do a middle ground movie where Michael's going from point A to point B and becoming a Terminator, and he's pissed off. He's just killing people and everything. But then they add in a bunch of other nonsense stuff that we don't need. Then this movie just takes it in far left field, and it feels like another reboot. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like this was like let's just forget 2018 and Kills even existed. We're just picking up with Laurie. She already does a monologue on like the past events and everything. She catches everybody up to speed with a recap. This could be its own thing, and that's what it felt like. That's exactly what it felt like. It just did not feel like besides announcing, like acknowledging that Karen's dead and certain things. Other than that, it just didn't. It felt like a totally different movie. Honestly, okay, I'm gonna ask you guys this because I know we got to wrap it up at some point. And I could talk about this movie all day long, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be talking about this movie for years. How do you rank this? As far as I'm gonna ask a easier question out of the new trilogy, 2018 Kills and Ends. How do you rank them?
This Ends is easily the worst. It goes in order. 18, Kills, Ends. In my opinion, 18 was such a good movie. Kills was, for me, I liked it, but I also get the story wasn't complete, which is what I was kind of hoping for, especially with Allison and Hawkins' character leading into this one, and we obviously didn't get it. But Kills was still very enjoyable. For me, at least with this one, especially what they did with Michael, I didn't enjoy it at all. I did not enjoy this movie at all. I felt I respect they tried to get different, but there was no need to get different. You had a built-in story from Halloween Kills that needed to be finished, especially with these other characters like Hawkins, who you built up so much in Kills. They needed their story arc. Allison needed her story arc, to hit full, for me, full capacity. One could say, oh, well, her story arc kind of is complete because she left Haddonfield. For me, the way that she was portrayed in this movie, it left a lot more to be desired for me. I expected a lot more from this character. I expected this character to kind of be the new Laurie, and she was completely the opposite. And that's what bothered me, is especially after going through what she went through, she is just completely oblivious to what is happening around her when it's so clear as day. Like you can even see other people, that are noticing a change in Corey, and she is just oblivious to the change that's happening right before her eyes.
Yeah. What about you, Eric? You how do you rank it?
This is probably going to be. All right, here's a question, and this has got. I have to ask it because, like I said, I acknowledge there's so many things wrong with it, but I enjoyed it. So, are we ranking it off how much we like it, or ranking it off what we think the quality is?
Best to worst.
In terms of quality? Okay.
Okay, are when you say quality, you're talking about like as far as filmmaking, like
as far as like, yeah, entirely. It's the story,
yeah. I mean, overall, like as far as like the story and the conclusion and everything, like if you had to pick tomorrow, like what's your first? I mean, how would you watch this movie? I mean, like which one would be your the one that you would pick up the most?
Honestly, what I would probably do, I would watch 78 and I would watch 2018 and call it done. Because 2018 could be the ending to this timeline.
Yeah.
And it would be, yeah, I enjoyed watching. I enjoyed this movie. I didn't hate Kills. I didn't think it was great. I didn't borderline good, but I still enjoyed watching Michael go on that rampage. So, but in terms of story, I think we sacrificed story to get more Michael. So if I'm ranking it, honestly, I would rank the movies in terms of quality from best to worst exactly how they came out. 2018 is the best. Kills is next, and then Ends is the worst. Now, if I'm ranking them off of how much I enjoyed them, 18 Ends Kills, because I did enjoy Kills or Ends more than Kills.
Okay. Well, I'm not too far from you guys. I like it in exactly the order that they're delivered. Like 2018 Kills. But I do understand what you're saying, Eric. I do understand what like as far as the story and the way things are presented, and we got more to chew on with Ends than we do with Kills. Kills is you could come up with that pitch of that movie walking into somebody's office and say, "Hey, I got an idea for a Halloween movie." Boom. There you go.
Honestly, it was like Kills, and not this isn't trying to disparage any writers or anything like that, but Kills could have been written by like a middle schooler who had just watched like Rob Zombie's Halloween and wanted to write something to compete with it.
Right.
So like they just wrote like a bunch of out there kill scenes and didn't know how to tie up a story or honestly include story. That's my biggest thing with Kills is that I don't think there's any character growth in it. Like
Cameron
is, yeah, okay. I'll give you Cameron. Cameron
Lonnie.
is no, okay. So they're not. I wouldn't give character growth because here's the thing: at the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, are their characters different? Other than being dead, they're not. And that's the thing. Like Hawkins was already having these feelings, and Ends are in 2018 about not killing Michael and regretting that. So he didn't have any character growth. Everything we saw him say in Kills, we already knew from 2018. Lori, she didn't really grow any. She was in the hospital the entire time. Allison didn't really grow any. She was, exactly how she was toward the end of 2018. There was no arc. There was nothing story wise, in my opinion, in Kills. It was just Michael goes from point A to point B, killing people in very brutal ways, and that's it. And that's fine. Like, it can still be enjoyable. There's some things I don't want to sacrifice. I don't want to put ahead of story. And I think they put those things. It very much.
It was a cash grab.
I won't say it was a cash grab.
But
here's the thing. Even with 2018, we knew there were going to be more movies. We did.
Yeah.
But they made 2018 in a way where you can watch it and it alone, and it stands on its own. Every Halloween movie can be done that way. Like, you can watch it and there might be a little like something to, some sort of cliffhanger, but it also is a complete story that you can watch as a self-contained thing. Kills was the first one, in my opinion, that isn't that way. You need another movie to watch along with it for it to work. And that's my biggest issue.
Yeah.
See, why I say though that Hawkins did have at least some character growth in Halloween Kills is because in Halloween 18, yeah, we know that, he was there that night and, he was obviously involved in, 1978, but they didn't go into the details of that. In Kills, they actually showed the details, and they actually showed that in so many ways you can blame Hawkins for the reason why Michael is still alive in the first place, because he stopped Loomis from killing him. We didn't get that in Halloween 2018. You just hear Hawkins tell Sheriff Barker, I was there that night. I was there. We have one objective, and that is to hunt this animal down. And that was
he also says with Sartain, right? He also says with Sartain, like, I had a chance to kill him or something like that.
No, he said,
that's why he.
I think he said to him that he's still gonna. He was like, I'm still gonna blow this motherfucker's brains out. But he also said in the car that he's not gonna let the same thing happen. He said he's not gonna let him, go this time, basically, or whatever and stuff. And that's when Sartain was like, remember, you can't harm him. He's property of the state. And he looks at Sartain and he said, oh yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we may not have seen it showed out the exact extent of it, but in terms of his character growing, he had already reached the level we got emotionally, mentally in Kills. He had already reached it in 2018. We just got them showing why he had reached that level. And I don't think that's him growing anymore. It's just honestly them taking the time to do that sweet 1978 recreation. And like, I think that's the best part of Kills to me, honestly. Like, that's the part that keeps me from saying Kills isn't a good movie, because I'll say it's not a great movie, but it's still good. And that's why, because that 1978 flashback scene, excuse me, they did amazing with that.
They did a good job.
Yeah, where you are.
I would like to see an entire movie about that.
Like, I was hoping for more of it.
Yeah, I thought we would get at least another flashback scene. Now, they didn't have the shots in his torso in that flashback scene. That was an error.
Yep.
Because he was not shot. He had no bullet holes in him in that flashback. That bothered me. And then I don't know, the whole where the cops go into, where Hawkins and what's his name goes into the house and they see the dog. That whole thing, the way that was like presented, like, I thought that could have been executed better, like just a little bit better. But other than that, like, the feel was down, everything was great. I mean, honestly, I wanted to see a little bit more of the guy who was playing as Loomis. That's I think is what fans is craving. We're craving more of that originality. We're craving more of that setting, 1978. Let's do a period piece of Halloween. That's where we need to go next. Let's just pick up. If you want to start off with something new or whatever, we could still pick up after 1978, but let's just continue it. And let's have it like that. Let's have it that style. Let's have it there. You know, we don't have to go to the hospital, but we could go somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Or where I want to see it go is get rid of Halloween 5 and Halloween 6. Let's do a direct sequel to Halloween 4 where Jamie and Rachel are not dead. Rachel's not dead from 5, and they're all grown up and they're still in contact, and maybe Jamie inherits something from Lori, and that's why she goes to Haddonfield. Something, a house, something. She's got to get something, and there's the Myers house, and then we're redoing Halloween 4's timeline.
Right.
It needs to be redone.
Well, two things. One, I know for a fact Tom Jones Jr. would be on board with playing in a full-length feature film as Dr. Loomis, because when I met him, I actually asked him.
Oh, you met him?
Yes, I did. I got an autograph and everything, my friend. I met him I went to Monster Mania 51. It was literally 40 minutes away from my house or whatever, right off the exit to Cockeysville, Maryland, here in PA. And it's crazy because that's when, you know, the hurricane hit in Florida. So we got some of that backlash down here and in Maryland. So when me and my friends got to the convention, there was people there, but it was not packed. I got James Jude too. When I went in James Jude's line and Tom Jones' line, there was literally nobody else in their lines or whatever. I was the only one. So I had like straightaway access. I was even able to get a YouTube channel shout out from Tom Jones Jr. And when I went up to him, I said, you know, I just want to say thank you so much for recreating that scene with Dr. Loomis, man. Like I'm a huge fan of that character and stuff like that. And I asked him, I said, can I ask you a question? And he was like, yeah, sure, go for it. I said, if they wanted to do a Halloween movie, like kind of take it back to where they would incorporate Dr. Loomis fully in the movie, would you be on board for doing that? And he was like, yeah, I would love, you know, that opportunity and stuff like that. So that's one, he would be on board for that. And two, I actually wouldn't mind seeing a prequel to 1978. Now I know this will kind of a hot take, you know, especially with Michael not having his mask. But why I think it could work is because we could do a prequel with Michael and Loomis, surrounded around Michael's time in the, you know, Smith Grove Sanitarium, and obviously showcase the years of Loomis evaluating him and trying to get through to Michael, but obviously it doesn't happen. So then obviously with the asylum scene or whatever, we never got confirmation as to how the patients got outside in 1978 when they weren't supposed to be outside. So somehow, some way they broke out from where they, you know, from being inside the asylum or whatnot. Now I know it's a hot take because we wouldn't have the Michael Myers mask or whatnot, but what if they did a prequel to where obviously, like I said, you get the whole Loomis Michael relationship, and then towards the end, maybe like in Rob Zombie's Halloween, Loomis is like, look, I have to back away. I can't get through to him. It's not working. I feel like I'm not doing my job. But they're on top of that, they're going to transfer him to the minimum security prison. Because remember, in the original, they were going to do that as well. They just cut those scenes out. You've seen Dr. Loomis pleading with them not to make the transfer, and they still decided they're going to make the transfer or whatnot. So what if that night, when the transfer is supposed to happen, Michael just goes on a fucking rampage in the asylum and just goes hard, you know what I mean, killing mostly everybody who's in the asylum. And obviously the patients that we see outside in the rain are the ones he didn't kill. And then obviously when Loomis is going to pick him up or whatever him and Nurse Marion were doing there, that's where, you know, we get the whole Michael escaping Smith's Grove scene. And then obviously it leads into 78. Like
a couple things.
Michael in a
That's how
Hospital
you would do
gown.
it.
The whole movie.
Huh?
Michael in a hospital gown.
But see, that doesn't have to be true, because you got to remember in certain scenes that they cut out, even when in Halloween 2, when Laurie's like having dreams of going to visit Michael, he's not in a hospital gown. He's in a t-shirt and like regular, like, I guess hospital pants, or like kind of like regular pants, but he didn't always wear a hospital gown.
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to. I think it's definitely treading on some of the territory that Rob Zombie's Halloween treaded on. Here's something though, and maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't it revealed that it was like the Man in Black who released Michael and the patients that night?
That was later on.
If
you want to go with a different timeline.
Well, I mean, I'm just continuing it up to that point. That's like the only explanation we got.
I get what Eric's saying, because you did get Wynn in 1978 when, Loomis is giving him an earful about Michael escaping. And you can make that point that that Wynn was helping Michael the whole time. Basically, obviously, we did get the reveal in 6 that he kind of was, which is why we get the dialogue in 78 with Loomis when he said, for Christ's sake, he doesn't know how to drive a car. And Loomis is like, he was doing very well last night. Maybe somebody around here gave him lessons. That could have been Wynn. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I could see your point with that, Eric. They did kind of reveal that, but I feel like they revealed it because it was the cult thing, so it kind of just didn't really like resonate with people. But you do make a good point. That was kind of revealed.
And here's a question I gotta ask. So we wouldn't have the mask, obviously, because the mask came into play in 78. That's one thing I did appreciate about the Rob Zombie's Halloween, is the fact that the mask had more meaning. Because Michael got the mask before he killed Judith. And then when he broke out, he knew immediately where to go get it. So it had a little bit more weight to it, in my opinion. Whereas in 78, as we know, Michael just kind of goes to some hardware store and grabs whatever's there. Here's the question. It's not even the mask that I had a question about. If we were to do this and we were to have this prequel with Loomis trying to get through to Michael, is Michael going to talk? Are we going to have like actual therapy sessions? Okay, so if that's the case, so I'm not opposed to it, but I think it'd be really hard to pull off, because if it is Tom Jones Jr., they're gonna carry the entire movie on their shoulders, because they're gonna be having a conversation with someone who won't respond. So it'd be pretty hard to pull off, because you're not gonna get any dialogue back. So
I feel like, though, in a crazy psychological way, they could pull it off. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they could.
In a crazy psychological way, they could definitely pull it off. And one thing that intrigues me, and I guess this is why it intrigues me so much, is if Michael being this way in this type of movie, even though I know a lot of people, don't want to see his face without the mask, you are literally looking at the face of evil. People forget that when Loomis, saw this evil inside of Michael, he saw it through his actual face, through his actual eyes. So for me, you know what I mean, to establish what the face of evil is supposed to look like, you know what I mean? And I think that could work. Like, I really do. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, it's something, I'll put it this way. If you wanted to get different with a Michael Myers based Halloween movie, that could be how you could do it, if it's executed properly.
Oh yeah, I would definitely be interested in it to see how they pulled it off.
Right.
It would be keeping with the Michael Myers story, which is, more than they really did with the new ends. So, and that here's another thing, and this is kind of out of left field, but it's something like we have to actually take into consideration these days. Did you think it would at all be a little disrespectful to Donald Pleasance to have like his likeness through an entire movie from someone else?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I see that. I don't think he should be a focal point. I think
Well,
he
it,
should. I think it's. I think you could have someone playing him, but he come in and out of the story here and there, kind of not really focused on. Like we're not following him.
well, here's the thing. Like, if you want to do a prequel and follow the character of Loomis, and you just cast someone else as Loomis, that's one thing.
Okay.
But if you go in and, like, as we saw with, in Kills and Ghostbusters Afterlife actually did the same thing. There are brief moments where someone will, an actor will use CGI and mixed with practical effects to play a dead actor. And it's so much of a real thing now. But like Bruce Willis, I don't know if y'all have seen what's going on with Bruce Willis. He was diagnosed with this disease, so he actually is losing the ability to read and write,
Oh wow.
and
Yeah.
speak. So he's not going to be acting anymore. He
Yeah.
released. He said that a couple months ago, like he can't speak.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well,
That's
one
awful.
thing he did, he signed away. You can sign away rights
Right. Yeah.
as an actor so that they can recreate you on screen for movies. Like, that's an official thing now where an actor can say, I'm not going to be doing anything, but you can use CGI to make me in this movie.
Right.
But you got to pay me, obviously.
Right.
And that kind of, where it becomes problematic is, or could be problematic, is with these celebrities that have already passed away before this was even possible, because it could make their families mad. I'm not saying it is.
Are
It's
they
just
going to
something
do it? Are they going to do it in Black Panther with Wakanda Forever? I'm hoping they do.
No. They're not at all. I don't. I haven't heard anything about it, but from what I
Those
understand,
trailers are powerful. I'm like hoping that
I
brings
think it's
Marvel
so
back.
powerful because they don't do anything like that. We go into it
Maybe
with it
just
already.
one scene. I'm not talking about like the whole movie.
Oh,
But
I
I'm
don't think
saying
so, man.
like just showing, even if it's a dream sequence, from his sister or something. Like, all right, we're getting on Marvel now, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I see this technology being able to do this type of stuff that could really elevate movies to where, just like the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, just like if we lose somebody great and they're supposed, let's just say they decide to do a Back to the Future movie, and Michael J. Fox or
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd passes away and they can't perform whatever, have a likeliness of them going back to the future and seeing a younger version of themselves. Like, I'm all about that. Like,
So, and here's the thing. Like I said, if there's not consent, but like if they're okay with that, because they're both alive now, so they both realize that technology is a thing. But Ghostbusters Afterlife, I brought it up. You just mentioned it again. A lot of people were like against that happening, that ending, because they're like, you're just using this likeness to like sell toys and to like.
they didn't sell any toys around his character though, did they?
They did. They released.
I didn't.
They
see any
released
toys
action figures of him, like, and called it like Harold Ramis. Like, they didn't like, and that's the thing. Like, if you recast the character, that's one thing.
Yeah.
And if you just use them for like a split second, like, we're gonna remake this one, this one 10 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever, of Loomis. That's one thing. But like, if you're gonna have this person in prosthetics mixed with CGI, pretending to be this actor, like an actual person, I think that kind of that and maybe it's not, something that won't bother anybody else, but for me, I'm kind of like,
wouldn't it be okay?
Donald Pleasance gave this. Oh, it's fine. Donald Pleasance. That's his performance.
Yeah.
At this point, you're not doing a performance as an actor.
You're taking away
of a character. You're trying to imitate Donald Pleasance being this character, and you're doing it while trying to be Donald Pleasance. And I don't know, that something about that for me is like, let's leave Donald Pleasance alone. Let's love what we got from him, because I do.
Yeah.
And if they were to do that, because I am interested, Marcus, in seeing that movie. Like I wouldn't hate that at all.
What if
But I would want him to recast.
wear the makeup and stuff like that, and he just went as himself? I mean, he looks like Donald Pleasance without it, but he still kind of obviously has his own look as well. How would you feel about that?
If they just cast it like Tom Jones Jr. and it was just him, like I'd be all for that.
Right.
As long as he wasn't trying to do
Loomis,
a Loomis impression.
Gotcha.
Like that's the thing, or a Donald Pleasance impression.
The only thing is, and you bring up an interesting point, about having rights and stuff to the likeness and stuff like that. If I can remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. But Donald Pleasance died before finishing Halloween 6. Am I correct? If I'm not mistaken.
He died at the very end. Like
he died right at the end.
And I know they did say that they used like CGI, like a computerized version of him in one of the ending scenes or in the entire ending scene. That it was a computerized.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, it was a computerized version of him. So if they did that in Halloween 6, maybe, just maybe, you know what I mean? Donald did the same thing Bruce Willis did, signed and said, hey, signed over, his rights and his
family.
Yeah, for his family to keep, collecting funds and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'd like to think this too. Even in that brief little scene for Halloween Kills where he did impersonate Loomis, that's using his likeness as well. So I'd like to think they would have some rights to that, you know what I mean? Or, the rights to the likeness in order to do that. You know what I mean? And stuff. So, I mean, but I definitely get what you're saying. It would feel like a knockoff of Donald. You know what I mean? But if he would come as himself, I would really like that. You know what I mean? Because he does look like Donald without the makeup, but he still has his look,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I could see like him not being a big part of it, like maybe in and out, like doing sessions or something, like
Right.
checking in, like how's he doing, or Michael, we got to talk about whatever, and kind of keep him out of focus a little bit. I mean, you could show him a little bit from the side, kind of how they do Michael Myers with his mask off, just kind of a little bit, but we're not following, Loomis. We're not. This isn't Loomis's story, but I also agree, like we've done enough. We've done enough with Laurie and Loomis. Let's move on. Like, I think it'd be really cool if Jamie is grown up and maybe they talk about Loomis. Maybe Loomis left something behind for Jamie. Something like that.
He has a son.
Yeah, I think because like Daniel Harris and Jamie Lee Curtis never met until recently, until the premiere of this movie. Like they out of all the years, they have never met each other. And that's more on Jamie Lee Curtis's side because I think she just kind of thought that she was like more of an A-list actor than Daniel Harris. But with this movie, they had like this whole Final Girls thing. Heather Langenkamp was there. Scout Taylor Thomas. What's her name? Compton was there. And that was really cool, but there are rumblings around that like, hey, she's game. She's ready to come on. Let's do something with Halloween 4. I would not be opposed to that because Halloween 4 is one of my favorite movies.
You know out of the franchise. Do with that as well. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, is in all honesty, you can kind of mesh the timeline of H2O with John Tate into the timeline with Jamie Lloyd for the simple fact is Laurie faked her death.
Yeah.
And I've always said it like, man, if we would get a Halloween movie with not only Danielle Harris and Ellie Cornell, but if you add Josh Hartnett to that, I would like
that'd be awesome.
Dude, I would love to see Josh Hartnett come back. And here's the thing. I love Danielle Harris. I love the character. I thought she was done so... She had a lot bigger of an impact, like, with her death in the Rob Zombie ones. But I love Josh Hartnett, man. I don't know why. I was like, I wanted to see him succeed so much. And I think it might have been the fact that like Danielle Harris was set up with the supernatural thing. I don't know why. I kind of have an aversion to the supernatural with Michael Myers. I know it's a thing with
Did
Jason.
But okay, it's been a minute since I've seen 4. Did they do any supernatural in 4 with him?
Well, this
There's
is
the
something.
connection, right?
In 5, there's a connection. There's a like.
Well, they tease it in 4 because like at the end of
she
4.
touches Michael. She touches Michael, and then the evil transfers to her.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I have an aversion to that with. It could be, but then I mean, that's kind of a that's a well-known like trope in Hollywood. So I don't know if that would fly, but I get that other people are totally okay with it. But for me, I don't know. I have such a block in my head of enjoying Michael Myers if I know it's paranormal or supernatural. I understand Jason, Freddy, and Pinhead, Chucky, like they're all supernatural. They all have some element in it. Ghostface, Leatherface, and Michael are kind of the only non-supernatural ones we have. So I kind of want to keep it that way because he's number 2 for me. I won't say he's number 1. I won't say, in my opinion, he's the greatest of all time, but
who's number 1?
For me, it's Jason.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I got a Jason tattoo right here on my wrist, man. Like for me,
that's a stream for another night.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. For me, it's Jason because I think I mean that's it, like you said, it's a stream for another night. But Michael is. Here's the thing: if you look at what Michael's done, and you take all these movies into consideration, if he's human, it's even, in my opinion, more terrifying and more amazing. If you kind of give it the, he's supernatural and can't really be killed, it's not as fun to watch for me because like there's no stakes. Michael, Michael isn't going to die. So why even? You're just going in to watch the same movie where he's going to kill a bunch of people. Someone's going to try to kill him. You're going to think he's going to die, but then he's not going to die.
Yeah.
That's why I like this. That's why another reason I liked Ends. Like you're going in it with the thought, like, can he actually die? Like that's something I got again that I didn't have with like Rob Zombies, with the Thorn trilogy, with Resurrection and H2O. Like because we knew at that point Mustafa Akkad had the clause in place that said you can't actually kill Michael. And because of that, it was a little less enjoyable for me. But like going into this, the stakes were so much higher. Like Michael actually has to do things to not that's a bad way of saying it. I as an audience member was like, can he die? Maybe he can, maybe he won't. I have to watch to find out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I love that aspect.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're marketing on. This is the end. But honestly, me personally, even though this movie has some flaws, I prefer H2O.
Oh yeah.
I just prefer
I'll say
H2O. I prefer H2O over this. Like
I agree.
They should have just left it alone.
I don't think there's a comparison though. Like between these two, I don't think they're the same type of movie. You'd have to compare H2O with 18 because those are both direct sequels to 78. What you'd have to compare this one to is Resurrection, because this is essentially the same as Resurrection. It's following up on that legacy sequel, and continuing that story. So this
Well, I mean,
comparably,
Michael didn't die in the
It's
last one.
Halloween 3 too, because of the getting different with within a Halloween franchise and within the Halloween movie, and the fact that Michael was hardly in the movie. The only difference is he is present in this movie as opposed to obviously Season of the Witch, other than being on TV.
Yeah.
and see that's where I think a lot of hate's coming from too. And I've heard that comparison a lot, Marcus. And this is my opinion on it, short and sweet. Season of the Witch, the reason it's successful now is because it never promised you Michael. It
Right.
never said anything about that, and it wasn't. This promised you Michael and Lori,
Yes.
and then didn't deliver. Like, if you want to be something different, totally cool, be something different, but don't try to sell me on the fact that you're not different.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, because someone I heard, and I'd love to get y'all's opinion on this. Someone asked me, or we were having a conversation. They were saying, do you think this will be like Season of the Witch, where there's a lot of hate initially, and then slowly it builds up that cult following? Personally, I don't think it will be, because of that fact, because of how it was marketed, what it promised to be, and then it didn't turn out that way. Whereas Season of the Witch was different. But how do you all feel? Do you think it'll do the same thing, like a lot of hate initially, then slowly it'll become, get a good cult following and be seen as a good movie?
Honestly, I think so. I want to say no, but if I'm being honest, like seriously, initially I want to be like, no, I want to write this movie off. Even though I appreciate certain things, I want to write it off because it's just I'm not satisfied with it. But I do see this as you have to be a certain type of Halloween fan,
Right.
to love this movie. Like I don't know, man. Like us Halloween fans, we're so damn passionate. It's so hard to please all of us at once.
What are you saying about me? Because I love this movie. What are you saying?
No,
about
I'm saying no, not at all. I'm just
I'm
saying
kidding.
that like this movie is gonna have to like there's some people that it's like, no, it has to be just like the original. I'm with you on that, but I'm also on the fence with like it needs to be different. But how different? How much do we dabble into that different? Like, is it going to be to the point to where it doesn't feel like Halloween? That's how I felt like this movie was. It went too different. It lost focus.
Right.
That was my problem, is that I felt like it lost focus. And before it was over, it was just like, oh shit, we got to wrap this up. And then when they wrap it up quick, I don't like quick wrapped up endings. I like
now.
If the first half was Corey, second half was Michael, and we got so much time with it, I could accept it better. But it's just the way the movie was wrapped up. But I do see that this being a cult following for some. Is it going to be as much as Season of the Witch? No, I don't think so. For the simple fact that yes, Season of the Witch is different, but it's like an anthology thing. It's its own story. It's its own thing. You're always going to relate this movie with Michael Myers. Season of the Witch, you don't really relate it with Michael Myers. It's its own thing, and it's a good movie on its own. Take Halloween's name off of it. Just call it Season of the Witch. It's great. Let's just call that movie Season of the Witch. We love it. This movie is Halloween Ends, and it's got Michael Myers on the poster.
This movie is Seasons of Love, a Halloween production featuring Michael Myers.
Yeah. He's just featuring in his own movie.
That's why I don't think it will have a cult following, because even if you're not a Halloween fan and you go in to sit down to watch this trilogy, or would it be a quadrilogy if you watch 78 and this one?
Yeah.
If you watch those four movies, this timeline, you're gonna feel so disjointed when you get to ends. Like
Yeah.
that's another thing about it. Like you can watch Season of the Witch once again, as you know, my big
Halloween
thing.
ends. Halloween ends feels like its own timeline. Like it's its own
Well, yeah,
Does.
thing.
and that's the thing. Like another thing is Season of the Witch stands on its own. It's its own movie. Like you can
Yeah.
watch that by itself. If you just go into this movie, you're gonna see that recap and you're gonna be like, hold on, what the hell did I miss? Like you can't just watch Halloween Ends, in my opinion.
I can agree
I
with
don't.
that.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still processing it. Maybe I got to watch it a couple more times, but I don't even know if I want to.
I'm
Like,
definitely gonna watch it at least 2 more times. I'll give it 3 watches. Like I said, though, like as weird as it is, man, like I can't say that it's a good movie.
hey,
I can shit on it, but still like it.
I was in the theater, and I was like, oh, I cannot believe they did this. I come home tonight, we watch the movie tonight. I watch it with my wife and kids, and they're big horror fanatics too, just like me. But my wife, she's kind of casual. She's kind of gotten into it because of me. But she actually kind of enjoyed it, but she could not believe, like, by the time it was over, she was like, for the most part, I'm enjoying what I'm watching. I think this is different. This is fun. This is well made. But she agrees with me also. The scenes with Michael in the sewer, it's like those are the scenes that should have hit hard with us, because we
Right.
haven't seen Michael. We're finally seeing Michael, and it's not good the way it's displayed to us. And it's
Right.
like, if those were more powerful scenes, I think it would land better with us. I think we would like it a lot more if Michael showed up and kicked ass and did his thing. He wasn't getting punked out. He wasn't weak. He wasn't anything. Like he
Right.
was Michael. And I think they just did it too many times. I think they did it too. And by the time that he wrestled him down and took his mask, that was it for me. I remember that moment. That's when I checked out. I was like, I was shaking my head. I was like, no, like, okay, I'm gonna sit through this movie. I'm gonna see where it goes. But it literally pissed me off to my core when I saw that. I just didn't like to see it. Did notice that Corey did sit up like Michael when he jumped
Yep.
off the radio tower roof? Like, I was like, okay, so he's getting some similarities here. But
Another thing they did, what they didn't do with 18 and Kills, at least in my opinion, is they actually made it seem like Laurie was a target of Michael's in this movie. You know what I mean? Especially with the scene of him watching her when Corey's, going in. Well, he's in the house, and him and Alex are going upstairs, and you see Michael watching her and then just walk away. At that point in time, I'm like, okay, they definitely made it a point that Michael is targeting Laurie in this movie, but it feels so flat because of the way the ending. Like he just rolls up after Corey dies, and there's no build up into it, and that's the biggest thing for me about this movie. What they did with Michael, and just in terms leading into the final act, the big showdown, was, for me as a wrestling fan, in order for a heel to really get over and get heat and be bought in by the fans, you need them to get heat. You need them to be the biggest, the baddest, the meanest. You know what I mean? You need to build them up to be strong. What I hated about what they did with Michael, which I wish they would have did, was they should have had him build his strength back up, kill a little bit more to where he's at full strength. He looks strong. He looks like Michael Myers, so that when they go to kill him, to throw him in the grinder after something, maybe subduing him or whatnot, it is more compelling watching him die. You know what I mean? I feel like what they did with the buildup was they made him look really weak and then killed him. I didn't like that. You know what I mean? I wanted it to be the buildup that he is this unstoppable killer that they rammed down our throats for so many years, all for you to show us in that one instance that he's really not, but you did it the right way. You made him still look strong in the face of defeat and death. Because now what bothers me going forward, you know what I mean? And I feel like also what could bother, just maybe casual fans who are just getting into the franchise is, how do you expect anyone to buy that Michael Myers can, withstand all this punishment with the way you treated him in Halloween Ends? How do you expect anyone to buy when you see him in a new Halloween movie? It doesn't matter what timeline it is. You see him get shot up and beat down or whatever, and he still keeps going. Or is anybody really going to buy that about the character anymore? That's what concerns me.
Going forward, maybe not. But that's the thing, though. We got to realize this is the last one. The last one. So here's what it seems like to me. I agree with all your points, Marcus. This is just my little addition tacked onto that. And it seems like they definitely wanted to have the good triumph over the evil.
Absolutely.
But they have overpowered the evil so much that it would have kind of looked fake if Laurie would have overpowered him, or in her current state would have taken him down. So instead of making her even more powerful, they just made him weak.
Yeah.
Because the way they have portrayed him in these last two movies specifically, he's been really, really overpowered, as Michael Myers should be. But in order to beat that, you have to have that level of power and more. And we know Laurie doesn't have that. I mean, let's just be honest here. Laurie didn't have that. She can't take that damage and keep going. She doesn't have that strength. So it's either Laurie wasn't going to be the one to take him out, or you have to make him weaker. And I like the fact, once again, I'm different on this, but I like the fact that he was a little weaker, because I like that he was human. And while those stories I told you about these people surviving, obviously with this massive amounts of damage, it is going to affect you. It's going to slow you down. And I like that, because it's like, at this point, between 2018 and Kills, he's taken a lot of damage. And while he does recover a little bit, he doesn't get to 100%. And you never know how much he actually has left in the tank, honestly.
Right. But see, don't you think that at least especially in terms of the dialogue in Halloween Kills, that's where they're hypocritical at? Because then why say the more he kills, the more he transcends? As if that doesn't matter in this one, that when he does kill, he's not rejuvenated at 100%. That's what kills me about this movie.
So I said this a long time ago when I was having a debate. I've said it on a stream too, because I once again always had an aversion to Michael being supernatural. When they say that the more he kills, the more he transcends, I didn't take it literally, like he physically transcends. I took it as in he infects people's minds, like he becomes a bigger legend with every person he kills. Not necessarily he gets stronger that way, but like his legend gets bigger, his legend gets stronger. Like more people find out, more people talk about it.
Right.
He becomes a bigger monster in people's minds. That's the way I always took it. But if you did take it literally, yeah, I can see why it would be like that. Ends would cause even more of a problem.
Well, I think the reason why also we kind of should take it literally is because what they did when he did kill Mulaney, he starts recharging up, like he's transcending back into his old self. So that's why those words like stick in my ear. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you see that in Halloween Ends when he's stabbing him, and then all of a sudden you just see Michael, like it's like a turtle coming out of his shell. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Like he just transforms, and he's like postured back up. He doesn't seem like he has a gimp in his arm, anything. And that's why when I saw that, and then how the rest of the movie played out, I'm just like, what the fuck was the whole point in saying that? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I agree. Like that part does. And what's going back to something else that was said earlier that kind of made me, I think it's a logical problem, is we did see that. We saw that when Michael killed this person, he got stronger, like physically. I believe it was just like adrenaline. Like he's like, okay, this is what it feels like. I remember this now. I enjoyed this. This is what I want to do. But so we saw that happen. So, but as assuming that's the way it goes normally, all he needs to do is kill more people. He becomes stronger. Well, right after that, or actually before that, when Corey comes out, that homeless guy says to him, he takes people in there, and none of them came out except for you. So that means he's been killing people.
that's
So why isn't he already super strong? Like, why hasn't he gotten back? Even if he's only killed like 2 people, that one person he killed with Corey got him from 25% up to like 60. He should have been at 100% by now.
Yeah.
So I think it's either a problem with the writing, like they wanted to, with the writing, emphasize like how special Corey was, but I think it takes away from their point that the more he kills, the more the stronger he gets.
Right.
So that was a problem for me. Like it was like that. It makes no sense.
It really doesn't.
All right, gentlemen. Hey, I got like about 3 minutes before I got to jump off here.
I'm getting ready to call it a night as well. We're actually over. I was really only going to go till midnight, but we're way past that.
My fault. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I've been like listening to both of y'all just going back and forth. I'm just like, yeah, I agree with that. Good point. That's another good point. Both of you got good points.
Really quick, what would y'all like rate it out of 10?
Oh, 1 out of 10. Can I watch it one more time?
For me, as of right now, I got to give it a 4.
Okay.
That was lower than I was going to give it.
It's way lower than I was going to give it.
I was going to give it, and this is me being generous, I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay. I was going 7.5, honestly.
I'm going to give it a 6. I wanted to go 5, middle of the ground. I think 5 is a better rating because like it's like half of it I like and then half of it I don't. I just because I'm looking at it from different perspectives, like I'm looking at it as the story. I'm judging on it as that. I'm judging on it as the ending of this trilogy. I'm judging it, but if I'm judging it as far as a filmmaking standpoint, a directing, all that kind of stuff, it's solid. It's solid on a filmmaking standpoint. It's just not where I want my Halloween movie to go. So, but it's the choice they made. I mean, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's a horrible movie. It's just reboot this son of a bitch as soon as possible.
I saw your right out of the theater review. I saw when you said that. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I was like, reboot this as soon as possible. Please. We were on the right track, but I just felt like they lost focus, man, somewhere along the way. Doesn't mean that this movie was a bad movie. It just wasn't fulfilling for me.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you're alone, man. I think a lot of fans, it wasn't fulfilling for them either, which is why I think they're.
But I also don't think it sucked. I don't think it was a horrible movie. Like it's so hard. It's so hard to pinpoint what I like and what I mean. I know what I like and what I dislike, but it's just so hard to like it's like check yes or no. I can't check yes or no. It's deeper than that. It's somewhere in the middle.
Let me ask you guys this before we wrap it up. Me and my sister were having a conversation, you know, in the car on the way back from the theater, and she doesn't believe Corey is dead.
Oh, he is.
I try to explain this to her, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. But okay, so just for the sake of argument, right? Just for the sake of argument, what if they wanted to do more Halloween movies surrounded with Allison? You know what I mean? What if, I mean, I'll put it this way.
But it had to have Michael Myers. I don't want it to be Allison and Corey.
See, this is where I was going with this. What if the evil that is in Corey, right? Even though we didn't see it full out in Halloween Ends, what if the evil that is in Corey gives him the same strengths and the same immune to pain and death like it did Michael? How would you feel about that?
It'd be hard to buy.
I get
I mean,
it.
they could do it. I mean, if Blumhouse wanted to take those characters and being like, we're going to call this something a Halloween story and veer off with it. They got, you know, all that, if that's all they got to work with.
Right.
But you're running yourself into a brick wall with, if you don't have Michael Myers, if that's not the core of your movie, then you already lost half your audience.
Right. I agree.
And a problem I think they would run into with that as well is if they're continuing the story, which they would be because Allison wasn't a character before this. They made it a point of saying he wasn't specifically targeting Laurie. He didn't care about Laurie, so it stands to reason that whatever this evil is wouldn't have any attachment to anyone. So why would it go out of its way to track down wherever Allison is going and target her specifically? So you'd have to have a pretty big plot device to get them
because she
together.
Is the one that got away. Like, because obviously the evil was still in Corey and he wanted Allison for himself. And in a weird way, you can kind of say it mirrors Michael and Laurie, just for them simple fact is, you know what I mean, all them years of trying to kill her. And, you know, it seemed at least she was the apple of his eye in terms of, you know, being a target and stuff like that. And given that, you know, Corey and Allison had a relationship, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend or whatnot. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't be on board for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to pick up with Allison Nelson. I really wouldn't be surprised if they did some shit like that, honestly. It would not surprise me at all, especially given what we got in this movie with the story of Allison and Corey and their little love story and all that stuff.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I do have more to say on it, but we'll have to jump on another stream. I really gotta get going right now. But yeah, man, if y'all want to have another one of these, talk about it it's another time, because there's definitely more to discuss with it. I'm gonna watch it a couple more times.
Yeah, guys, this has been great. Thank you guys for coming on here and talking this with me, man. Because like, just hearing it from other people, it's just like I kind of like was just trying to avoid everybody else's opinion and trying to form my own. And we kind of agree on some stuff, and then some of it we don't, and it's great. You know, I mean, there's nothing to hate on here. You know, I respect everybody's opinion, and there's things I like about and things I don't. But that's the way it is. But yeah, we're gonna be talking about this movie for years on end, at least for the rest of the year. Here's to Scream 6. Let's hope it lands its marking.
Hey man, we got something else to focus on now.
Yeah, we do. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream. I gotta get to bed. I don't know about y'all, but I gotta head to bed. That's my bedtime.
I gotta go pick up my woman.
Oh, go pick up your woman, man. Hit me up, guys. We'll you know, we'll
Absolutely.
talk like we do regularly, and if y'all got any streams or anything, feel free to send me an invite if I can make it.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely be there. All right, guys.
Yeah,
All
sounds
right.
good. What, you gonna drop backstage?
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and then we can talk.
All right, yeah, cool. Sounds
All right,
good.
guys. Smash that like button before you head out if you haven't already. Subscribe to I Shot 'Em 6 Times and the Bearded Entertainment if you haven't already. Great content, especially for Halloween and horror. These you don't get better than these guys. So yeah, I'll see you again next Friday night, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time for another night of Night Screams. This has been Halloween and spoiler discussion. All right, guys. I'll see y'all later. I'll see you on another time.
Later.
Later.